there, Mr. Dixon.
Well, hello there, Mrs. Dixon.
How are you? Oh, jeez.
What? You started it.
I know, I did.
I was trying to behave myself,
I
Miss
did.
Dixon.
I opened up the door and...
Mrs. Dixon, is there a Mr. Dixon? This is the part where you say, he's on vacation. And this is the part where I come in and go,
Ow.
You sure care about your kids' schooling, Mrs. Dixon.
Oh, jeez. Okay. That's really, this is why we're never going to get monetized.
No, I was just
Ever.
doing movie trivia. That's all. Dang. If y'all know that movie, go ahead and say something. I don't know if you know, but I know movies.
Hello. It's so nice to see hello in the chat. It's been a hot minute.
God damn you, Mark. God, it feels good. And Lemon Lifer.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Lemon Life.
Okay, for those of you in the chat who are here, I want you to recognize
We missed you guys.
two people. One is Hello. The other is Lemon Lifer. These two people, along with Simply Risky and Angie Marie, were with us from the beginning, and Sarah Monroe Mad Donna. It was the five of these people who, for I guess the better part of almost a year,
Almost, yeah.
religiously tuned in to us and kept us going. It was just these five people. There were some every now and then, but not like the five I just named.
Our Russian would pop in every now and then when he can get our online. And then Dumpster Rat would come in. But yeah, these folks, it was pretty cool just to see them in there day in and day out.
Day in and day out. And I just remember it all too clear where if these five didn't show up, our energy kind of dropped and we were just going through the motions. But when they were in our chat, they literally kept us going. And this is the same reason why S.O.R is the way it is. Is because I know what it feels like to just have one person
And
watching.
sometimes nobody. We had nobody
Sometimes
watching.
no one
Nobody.
watching. No one to behold the Monkey Island shenanigans.
But we were still the craziness. We're like, we can say it now. Nobody's watching anyways.
Right? So that's why
man.
that's why a lot of us Saurians, we make it a point to watch people's content, enjoy their art, and be there for one another. Hello and Lemon Lifer, Angie Marie, Simply Risky, Sarah Monroe, Madonna. We thank you. You guys were with us from the beginning, and now look at the family now.
Yeah, it's great. Speaking of Angie Marie, how about we bring her in?
Let's bring her in.
Let's bring her in.
Since Samurai.
You're on mute, by the way. There we go.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, we got an echo.
We have an echo.
Oh, no, we don't. Wait. No, we're good. We're good.
Is it on her side?
Do you hear an echo?
No.
No? Okay, cool.
Okay. Let us know if the background music is too high.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Okay. Chat, is the background music too high? Angie, just keep saying Roberto.
What?
Roberto.
What? Why?
So we can match the background volume with the foreground volume.
Jeez.
Or just laugh. That's fine too.
Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah. That'll work.
Okay. I think everybody's saying we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but Angie, a little hot on the mic wise. Okay, I'll lower her level for you. Okay, that should be good. Yeah. Remember WN. Don't say WN.
Yeah, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say
WN. You can say WN,
Yeah.
but you know.
Yeah. WN.
Yeah, not the other one.
Not the actual.
Yeah. I don't want to. I know your family's probably watching, Angie, so I don't want to embarrass you in front of your family and friends. It's not gonna happen.
Thanks. I did warn them. I said, hey, I'm doing a podcast interview today, but just FYI, there may be some vulgar language. So I did warn them.
There always has to be that parental guidance warning.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to tame myself and keep the monkey in the proverbial cage, but sometimes,
you know that's not going to happen, especially when we start talking about risky. All
Right.
of that
Nope.
is going to just go to shit.
Yep.
Okay.
Look, everybody's forewarned. They know. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get this started. So we have Angie Marie. Angie,
Wait,
huh?
you forgot something.
Oh shit, my bad. Rewind.
Go ahead.
Can we do a rewind?
No, it's live.
Okay. Welcome back to the podcast. And today we have
Yes.
Angie Marie.
There you go.
Okay. For those of you who do not know and who was not here when we were doing our live stream for 100 days in a row, we have and he's still a very good friend of ours. He was actually literally like, maybe not a blood brother, but he was our brother.
But he was a brother.
And we've known Risky from childhood. Now, the funny thing is about Trayvon Sawyer, aka Simply Risky, is my brother and I grew up in South Central LA in the 80s, the height of the gang period. Trayvon was representing the Blood Gang. My brother and I were representing the Crip Gang. And Trayvon lived, and we didn't notice at the time, but he lived.
Enemies who became brothers.
Right.
Dun, dun.
We didn't know this at the time, but he lived 5 blocks west of us growing up. We knew the same friends. We all were riding dirt bikes at an early age. We were all into horses at an early age, but we were circumstance of the environment in which we lived in. Fortunate enough, we were never arrested for any crime. We never hurt anybody, well, kill anybody from being with a gang. I think that's more important. However, we did get into fights, so I can't say we never hurt anyone. And throughout this life, my brother and I somehow was able to get out of the environment in which we lived in, which we'll tell that story maybe for another podcast. But long story short, my brother and I got into the emergency medical service field, and for 15 years we've done that. But when we graduated the EMS field, we met a person, and his name is Trayvon Sawyer, but we call him Simply Risky. There's an echo.
Yeah, real quick, Angie, you're not moderating. You don't have YouTube open or anything, right?
No.
Why is there a weird echo? Huh. Okay. Let me check on my end. Go ahead.
Yeah. And
Keep
so Trayvon was a supervisor at an ambulance company my brother and I got hired with to do some marketing. And once we were introduced to Trayvon, we started to figure out, oh my God, like, not only have we grew up together, but we had no idea we were even in the same neighborhood on opposing forces. And as we got older into the business, we just became this brotherhood. And my brother and I were into music, and we started a band with 2 other guys. And Trayvon immediately was like, I want to be the manager of the band. If for anyone that knows Trayvon from the comment section will know, Trayvon wants to be the manager or the assistant manager for everything. And if you haven't talked to him in chat, you won't get it. But a lot of you have. Tracker Jack and Sam Jones and Gracie and Cressy, Biscuit. They were fortunate enough to be around when Risky was with us. Viral Beats. I don't know if Crazy Rabbit was around. Hello, Lemon Lifer, Sarah Monroe. They knew this personality. And Trayvon has been with us through a lot of our journeys through life at its most pinnacle point.
Yeah, Trayvon, I mean, we said it over and over and over. Trayvon is the reason why you and I are together.
He's the sole reason why MARELYN and I are together, because I was never going to call MARELYN to go on a date. I was never...
No. We went on a date, but it was that one specific night.
Right, but I wasn't going to call you back. I was just going to leave it be.
Yeah, because you had some trust issues with women at the time.
Women were a piece of shit to me at the time. I was just over it. But Trayvon was like, nah, we ain't doing that. And behind my back, he called MARELYN, and that's a whole nother story.
That's a hilarious story. We've told it a few times before. Yeah.
So Trayvon has been a huge figure in our lives, and he would always tell us to keep doing this YouTube thing, stop waiting in line, and push your agenda forward. And every day after the live, he would call us and say, that was amazing. The music is nice. You guys are doing it. Keep going. Can't wait to be a part of it.
And then Angie and I would be texting each other while you guys were playing on video games. Be like, are you watching this bullshit? She's like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't know, Angie. I have no idea. But I feel like I'm watching a silent movie, but I really get what's going on just from like what you say, and then what Angie was telling me, like Trayvon would be saying on the other end. I'd be like, oh, so that's what's going on. Yeah. It was like a friend for movie night. Like I had to get half of the dialogue from her.
He loved his online video games. I mean, who didn't?
Yeah.
And Trayvon would,
which is hilarious because he sucked.
He sucked so hard at him. Yeah.
He was horrible. Let's be honest. He was.
He'd always die.
Yeah, always die.
Angie, always.
And so Trayvon would talk about Angie. I'm like, oh, well, who's Angie? And he would say, oh, it's this woman I met, and she cool as fuck, and she's helping me out through life, and you know, and I could tell Angie was making them happy.
Yeah.
You know? And so as the months went by, we started to learn more and more about Angie. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, Angie's now watching the podcast. And I think from day one, she was hooked. Trayvon even said, Angie said, you really know these dudes, don't you? He's like, I'm telling you, man, I know these dudes, man. I know these dudes.
I think from day one, we were hooked with Angie. At least I was. And I remember T would tell us, you're taking my friends. Stop it. They're my friends, not yours.
Yeah. SimplyRisky was...
he was a character.
Yeah, SimplyRisky was a character, but he was also quite the complex man. And when SimplyRisky and Angie came out for the 100th day in a row episode, it was a 24-hour shit show. Viral Beats and JRC did a great tribute for SimplyRisky. Hello did a song for SimplyRisky, which was nice. We'll let you guys hear that.
Yeah, which we just listened to it today.
Tracker Jack.
We'll probably play it for a popcorn night.
Okay, yeah. Tracker Jack, for me, did a very emotional track for Risky.
Yeah. Tracker was there. Okay. I know Angie remembers this. Oh, Angie, what's your cat's name?
This is Louise.
Louise.
Where's Thelma?
Thelma, she's around.
Okay.
Oh, you actually do have a cat named Thelma?
And Louise.
Yeah, of course you do. Why wouldn't you, Angie? Jeez. But Tracker, we met Tracker on our 100th day, remember?
Right. Right.
Our 24-hour stream. Like
24 hour.
Tracker was there with us. He was like, nah, we got this, guys.
I think Tracker was Tracker was when he woke up at, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tracker, I think you woke up at 5 a.m. Your time in Germany, and he did not go to sleep.
Nope, he was there with
until
us.
It was all said and done.
Yep.
And Tracker Jack, I'm trying not to get emotional over this, but if I get emotional, just give me a minute.
We forewarned everybody yesterday.
This is going to be very emotional.
It's going to be a great, funny, full of laughters, but there might be some tears shed as well. So,
but Risky, he recognized Tracker Jack's aura through the internet, and it's very possible because I do have a certain love for Tracker Jack and Sam Jones and Gracie. You know,
don't forget Cressy. He's gonna get his heel.
Cressy already knows. My hand is always on Cressy's. So
wait, what?
Yes.
Wait, why?
But yeah, like SimplyRisky really loved these people.
Oh, Tracker was there from around 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 6 hours ahead of us.
Yeah. And Risky loved these people, Viral Beats, and for them to do what they did for him musically, I just wish he was, well, MARELYN would say, what makes you think he's not here to hear it,
yep.
you know? But one of my favorites was Tracker Jack's. Like, it reminded me of L.A. and our childhood. It reminded me of the hip-hop we used to listen to. And Tracker Jack nailed it. And for some reason, I can't get myself to go back and listen to it again. So, thanks, Tom. That was beautiful. Okay.
And fast forward.
We
met Angie.
We met Angie. And Angie, I don't know, like, this is a special podcast with you, so I don't know where we should start. Maybe we do the same thing everyone else does.
We should learn the backstory of Angie. Yeah, because I'm super curious, like growing up and where she was born and transitioning to now in California. Like, how did that look like and how did that happen?
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us, what was little Angie like? What was the environment growing up? What did you learn and what were you listening to?
Well, sorry, there's a noise. It's probably one of the cats. So I was born in Mammoth. For anyone who lives in the States or California side, it's one of the more popular ski resorts south of Tahoe, north of Bishop, which I know, Lamont, I think you know about Bishop.
Yep.
Grew up there, small town. My high school graduating class was 84 students. So knew everybody my entire life growing up. Did all the sports that you could possibly do in a small town: soccer, ski, softball, did cheer for 2 years, all that kind of fun stuff. And learned about life outside of the city, obviously, because it was a mountain town. So fishing, hiking, backpacking, rock climbing. My dad was a famous rock climber back in the day, which you guys know because Risky always wanted to go rock climbing.
Yeah.
He was adamant about that one. Tried to shut that down a couple times. We can get into that later, of course. But and then finished high school. My mom decided that I can't stay in Mammoth, so she basically filled out my college application for Santa Monica College, and I ended up in Santa Monica. Went to school. 19, I wanted to go into law enforcement, but my mom said no. She literally told me that she would not financially support me if I were to go in that route. So,
oh wow,
yeah.
So, was it because she thought it was too dangerous?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, especially as a female, she's like, you're not doing it. She's never been anti-police ever. It was more so just,
danger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At that time, I was also maybe like barely even like 115 pounds. So I was teeny tiny. So there's a lot of things that could have happened, whatnot. So I listened to her, finished college. I have a bachelor's in apparel merchandising and buying, which is super random because now I am in law enforcement. But in a roundabout way, I'm actually now using my degree, the buying side of it at least. So yeah, as we've talked about before, I work law enforcement. We deal with the mentally ill where I work, so it's more so like corrections side of the law enforcement area, but with mental illness. So undiagnosed, when they come in, they get treated, and then they get sent out to the actual other facilities to serve their time.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did the merchandising design element come into play? Because law enforcement and merchandising and designing are like in the extreme, from each other. So how did that become something that you wanted to study in college?
Originally I wanted to do the design aspect, but I realized I'm shitty at sketching, and then I hate sewing. So I redirected my route to the merchandising side. So I learned more merchandising, buying, like the business side of the industry. And then I did that. I was in that industry for about 10 years, until I stumbled upon this job that I'm at now.
Nice.
Yeah. What, as a young Angie, do you have any siblings?
I have one sister. She's 4 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what was the music like in your household?
Different. Like, so
what was your parents playing?
My mom listened to a lot of like the oldies, as we would call it, like the Beatles, Hendrix, Doors. My dad was more Grateful Dead, Led Zeppelin. He liked UB40. My mom, though, she loved the Beatles. She had every single record, CD, tape, all of it. That was her music. Even last night, I had dinner with her, and we're in the car, and I don't remember which song it was, but she's like, I can still tell you to this day what the next song on that track was going to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
She really did love them, huh?
Yeah.
She did. Yeah.
Yeah. How as a child, what did you experience as a child with your family? Was there a lot of camping, outgoingness? Like your dad was a rock climber. What?
So when I was real little, my dad would go hunting, but he slowly phased that out because either my mom would say he wasn't really good at it, but we also didn't want to eat like the venison that he would get. And then it went from that to fishing. We'd fish all summer long. Like, I remember when I was, I think around like 5 or 6, I caught my first rainbow trout, and it was like this big, and I was so excited, like super ecstatic, bragged about it. My sister was pissed because she had just given me the fishing reel to because she was done fishing. So within probably like 2 to 5 minutes, I'm like reeling this thing in, and then we took a picture. Like, that's what you do, on little fishing lodges. You always got to take your picture with your fish. So I'm holding it. My sister's
especially
in the
your first one.
Yeah, for sure. And then we took it home, and I'd always hear my dad talking about cleaning fish. So I was like, I'm gonna clean the fish. I cleaned it with soap and water.
Oh, jeez.
Good God.
Just over there scrubbing away. And my dad caught. He's like, what are you? I was like, I'm cleaning the fish. You told me I could clean the fish. We still, we cooked it and ate it, and it was fine. But we would go fishing. Started camping more so when we got a little bit older, like 6. I was probably about 6 or 7 the first camping trip we did. Just they wanted to wait till we were a little bit older because it's not the easiest experience with younger kids.
Right.
Any trip we went on, we would go camping. We had a ski boat, so we'd go to the local lakes and camp out there. And then eventually, once I moved out, they didn't want the boat anymore because they're like, well, what are you going to do with the boat? It's just the two of us. So they ended up selling their boat. They got a 19-foot trailer, camping trailer. So then they would take that everywhere they would go. They'd go camping, Death Valley, south of Lone Pine, Grand Canyon. They took it everywhere. They'd go camping. My dad had rigged it so it had solar panels on top. He had a secondary generator. Like, that thing was pretty much set to be off grid if he wanted to.
Right.
Yeah.
So no one in your family was actually in law enforcement at all then?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
So you were the first.
Yep.
Okay, walk us through law enforcement. What was it like getting prepped to go in?
So so our agency is not, we're not post recognized. Well, we're post recognized, but we're not post certified, I guess it is. So it's a little bit different. I was more prepared for a full post academy. So going through the whole 6 months, being, going through the paramilitary, being tacked and having to do push-ups and sit-ups and all that stuff where they break you down and build you up. Mm-hmm. And I had prepared that because prior to getting this one, I had interviewed and applied for CHP, LASD, Los Angeles Sheriff Department for those who aren't in the area, and then Los Angeles Police Department. So I had already been doing all that PT, getting ready for their academies and stuff. And then ours was more, they have to clear us more because it's a state agency. So our backgrounds are a little bit more in depth just to make sure that, we're able to work under the state.
Right.
Our psych was pretty simple. They ask us questions. We don't do they don't do the lie detector with us. So it's pretty different. They're more concerned about our psychological mind frame. Since we are working with the mentally ill. So it's more so about that. Our academy is only 4 months long and it was easy. We're actually currently trying to fight to actually go to at least a level 3, which is the bottom step of a full academy, of a real academy.
Right.
Just so our officers can have more experience. I currently work in the training division, so I see the deficiencies that are coming out of our academy. They're not trained on report writing. They're not trained on how to interview and interrogate. They're not trained on even properly searching and cuffing and all the aspects that are super serious to our career. So
especially working for, with mentally ill individuals, because you never know when they can become violent.
Oh yeah, and it's easy. Not to sidetrack, but the other night I worked overtime and I was doing walkthroughs. So we walk the units, just as if corrections officers walk the prison cells or prison units. And there's a patient, we call them patients because it's a hospital setting, but they're inmates basically. And I look over and this guy's been there for probably going on over maybe a year now. Mm-hmm. He's probably even taller than you, Lamont. He's a big guy. And he hates us. He hates any form of law enforcement. And he's someone that I myself have tried to build somewhat of a rapport because I know he could kill me in an instant if he wanted to.
Right.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just try to build these rapports with those guys just to make sure. But I'm never going to be trusting them because they can snap any second. They could start cheeking their medication. They're all court ordered to take medication to help with their psychological imbalances. But at any point in time, they could just pretend to take it and just start hiding it in their mouth and spitting it out later. So for myself, it took a lot to mentally prepare and physically prepare for those type of situations. I probably took it more serious than some of the others, especially the females, because some of them just think that they're not going to be in the field like that, I guess. I don't know. But
yeah, it's super important. They should have some form of better training, I guess.
Yeah. We do Archon, which is it's called Arrest and Control, and it's actually the Gracie brothers who created, Gracie brothers do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
So they teamed up with LAPD.
I've been through their course.
Yeah, and they came to my academy too and was teaching
Yep.
us some hands-on techniques.
Yeah.
Blue belt out of Gracie.
Yeah. So we are, we were doing that a lot. So every 1 to 2 years we would recertify and do all that stuff, because we have instructors that at our facility, like our officers and sergeants and lieutenants, they're trained instructors. So we would go and do that, and I would actually even go and do rolling with one of my mentors. We would do like 2-minute drills and stuff like that, just to be prepared, because I always want to just be ready.
Yeah.
So,
and the Gracie Academy does do online training classes now.
Yes.
I think not recently, but they started doing that during COVID.
Yeah.
We saw a couple when we were in Wyoming when we were teaching self-defense for women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to backtrack a little bit, it's funny. I'm glad that your private sector doesn't do lie detector tests. I personally feel like they're bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's from personal experience. So that's just my opinion. But when we were doing the police academy for, was it Casper?
Yeah.
It was Casper, Wyoming. I was hired on and Lamont wasn't hired on. And the reason being was because Lamont didn't pass his lie detector test, but I passed my lie detector test. Now, mind you, Lamont spoke the truth fully 100%. I lied on my lie detector test. So that goes to show you how credible a lie detector test is.
But there was also, like, my skin color wasn't the right color for that department.
Well, and I'm Hispanic.
But
so,
you don't look it.
But, right. But on
And
paper.
Light skin.
Yeah.
And
light skin, light color eyes. But on paper, I'm still Hispanic. You're still black. And that police department needed to fill a quota, and they could have filled it with you and I.
Right.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, she told a lie, multiple lies on her lie detector.
Yeah.
I told the truth, and they came with the conclusion that I was a wife beater.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how they come up with that.
Yeah.
Solely because at the time we were applying for Casper Police Department, her and I were the head of self-defense teaching for single women and married women who didn't know how to defend themselves in the environment. So they would ask me, "Have you ever hit a woman?" And I go, "Well, I'm a self-defense instructor for women." So
yes.
How are you asking this question? Because yes, I mean, I'm teaching them. And so at the end of the day, they said, "Oh, well, we think you're I forget.
A wife beater or domestic violence."
We think you're a habitual domestic violence guy. And
which I just think it's
which was also crazy because
hilarious.
Her and I both got hired on with Riverton Police Department in Wyoming.
Yeah.
And when they heard the story, which they don't do polygraphs, they talk to you like a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the detectives heard my story and was just like,
floored.
That don't sound right.
And then then there was a running joke after that if there was any domestic violence to be had, it was me doing that.
It was MARELYN beating the shit out of me.
Beating them up.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get what she's saying.
Yeah. So I'm glad that Angie's work doesn't do that, but it'd be great if you guys can get a little bit more training, because it's super important.
It is, especially for women to
for you
be
guys.
around aggressive men that are used to committing crimes and or being violent, you know. So
and are now unstable mentally. So super important for your safety.
Tell us how you met Simply Risky's crazy ass in law enforcement.
So I had just gotten back from our academy. Our academy was up north in San Luis Obispo. So I had just returned back, and we do these additional weeks of training. So our officers are trained to the way that we operate at our facility, because every facility runs a little bit differently.
Right.
So we were doing building clearance training, and it was Risky, and then another field training officer, Aaron here. And these two guys were like best friends back then. And so they were teaching us, and Risky was just kind of standing in the background, just observing for the most part. And I noticed him, and years later, or 2 years later, whatever, he had told me the same thing. He's like, yeah, well, I noticed you too. So we kind of were just observant of each other. And then he ended up, that's when he went on his first injury leave from when he first hurt his back. So that was back in 2018. So he was out on injury leave for about a year, and then he came back, and then we started to talk and get to know each other. And then after some time, we both basically just started talking more and more and more. And then eventually just started hanging out, and then just basically just started dating. So, but it was, yeah. I mean, it wasn't the quickest process, because at that time, I was still trying to figure out my life. It had been 2 years since my dad had passed away. So I'm trying to like rebuild stability in my life, because my dad was a big part of my life. Sorry.
No, it's
no,
okay.
You're good.
Yeah. I'm just glad you're talking.
Yeah. And that I was amazed when Angie said, I'll do it. And I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah.
Yes. Go, Angie.
Yeah. You need to talk about it, and people are willing to listen to your story. So
thanks.
Yeah, take all the time you need, girl.
Thanks. But yeah, my dad, like I said, he was a big part of my life. I was like daddy's girl, where he taught me to survive life. He taught me everything. And so losing him, and I had to help take care of my mom and get my mom's life set. So I didn't get to grieve when I should have been able to grieve. So I was still trying to figure things out and figure out life.
How old were you when your dad passed?
I was early 30s. I can't remember. He passed away 2017. And I'm gonna be 39.
Oh, okay.
I can't do math. But I was maybe like 32, 33.
He passed away 8 years ago.
No, October 7th will be his anniversary.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was still trying to figure out life. I was still trying to figure out men, basically, and who to trust. I'd been lied to and things in the past. And so I was very cautious when I met Risky, trying to take step by step, not just throw myself out there and then just be in a situation where like my heart is crushed and whatnot. So, but eventually we just started hanging out. And we took it slow in the beginning, I would say. It wasn't like mad dash, like let's rush into this. And I would even say the first 2 years, it was pretty, like, we were loyal to each other, but we weren't like in the serious of relationships.
You were
like,
building more of a friendship.
Yeah. And then these last couple years, I would say, was when he told me he wanted to move away. And that was almost 3 years ago now that he started talking about that.
Right.
And I started to evaluate things. I was like, well, either I go with him or I lose him.
Right.
Yeah. And then that's when our relationship started to blossom into what it had become.
Yeah. What would he tell you when you found out he wanted to move nearer us? What were some of the things what were some of the things that excited him?
Just being near you guys, like plain and simple. Just like, I mean, he had always basically, he would say that you guys were more of his brothers than his own brother.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to be near you guys again. He wanted to be back with you guys. And moving to Indiana was going to get him there. And that was the biggest part. And getting out of the city. He was not a city guy. He did not want to be in the city.
Right.
He was so heartbroken when he had to get rid of his other property.
Yeah.
That I would say was probably when he started to shut down, was when that happened.
Yeah, especially being in a city setting, like for anybody who hasn't lived in the outskirts or country or the rural area, it probably you won't understand this, but once you do live in that area and then go back into the city, it's this crazy instant depression that you feel.
Yeah.
Right? And if you have to live in it, it's every day you're in it. Because I know when we moved to Wyoming, particularly for me, when we moved to Wyoming and then had to go back to California to visit family, the minute we hit any sort of big city, I was like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here.
Right.
It's almost this doom and gloom feeling.
Yeah, it's dark energy.
Yes.
Yeah. You can feel the negativity, especially when you drive past like negative environments. It would make it even more worse than what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I for me growing up in the rural area and then having to move to the city, I would feel so claustrophobic being in the city. And like there's times even now, like, so I live in the outskirts and southeast of LA, which is more of a community. So you guys know Whittier. So it's more community oriented. Like we don't have traffic. We don't have the loud noises. We don't have all that stuff. We have, for the most part, we have the fresh air. We have the trees. We have all of it. But it's like when I have to go visit my mom who's in Culver City, like yesterday on a Saturday, it took me 45 minutes to go 19 miles.
Right.
Like insane. I hate it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing I hate. And it's more so LA is just so condensed than most of the other cities. Like it's ridiculous. Like even when I go to Minnesota to visit my family in Minnesota, it's not like that. Like there's not a lot of traffic, but it's still city, but it doesn't feel the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So you think Trayvon's mental decline went down when he lost his property in Hemet, was it?
Yeah, Sage, but basically Hemet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as we all know, like he wasn't super open to everything he had been dealing with in these last couple of years. But I don't know which person was the reason for him having to get rid of it. I think it was Ebony was the reason why. But it broke him completely, because that's how he would get away, like to get out of the city. That was he'd get the fresh air there. It was tranquil for him. He had the horses, he had everything. And then even recently, the last maybe like 6 months ago, he had found two of his old iPhones, which he was able to get access into, and he was going through, he found a ton of photos. He was sending me photos of the painted horse he had. I don't remember its name, but he had that painted horse that was a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
He was sending me photos of the horses. He had the pigs, the chickens, all of it. Like he missed it. He even had, at one point in time, he had mentioned he had 2 potbelly stoves, and he realized when he brought that up, you could tell like he was super like upset and sad about how he didn't have those anymore. And that was like, when we moved, that was something that I was going to get him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that broke him a lot. I mean, from what I'm understanding now, from what I had known, that woman basically ruined him.
Which led to him now having that distress distrust in women, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
sure he himself had his guard up with you, like you had your guard up with him. Yeah.
Yeah. He had his guard up with me all the way up to the end, unfortunately, and I didn't understand why. I hadn't known everything about with him and Ebony. I knew some of it because it was brought into work because she had filed a temporary restraining order against him and the kids. And that was brought to work, and people thought I had known about it, and it was mentioned to me, and I didn't know. Well, he had told me some of it, but I never knew that they were married. I didn't know any of it, which he was trying to protect me from it. I'm not mad at him for it, and I will never be mad at him for it. Understanding what she put him through and what she put the twins through, I get why he didn't talk to me about it.
Yeah.
Right. What was in Trayvon's Simply Risky's thought process when, after the 100-day challenge, when you guys came to visit us and you guys had to leave? What was he like when you boarded that plane from Fort Wayne back to Los Angeles?
Sad.
Yeah.
You could see it. I don't know if you noticed it when you guys dropped us off, but that's when he became quiet again. When we were there, you guys saw, I mean, he was laughing. He was having so much fun. Like he was at peace. And I think I even told you guys that us being there, that was the most peaceful I've ever seen him. Sure, the kids weren't there, which I know bothered him, not being with them.
Yeah.
But him, you know, we stepped outside one of the mornings, we stood outside and just watching him see the quiet and breathing the air and just observing and not hearing sirens and not hearing car horns and all the hecticness of a city. Like, he was at peace, and having to come back to LA, even that day when we got here and we were stuck in traffic, like immediately after getting,
you can feel that depression set in. Yeah. I remember when you guys were here, he would make it a point every single day to go walk down those 4 acres of property that we have and just stand at the furthest end of the property.
He loved the creek. He's like, did you know there's a creek?
Yeah. And Saren, oh my God, he loved
that. Yeah, he loved our dog.
He was like, that's my bud.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every time he'd go outside, he'd go outside with him.
He went out the front door one day when you guys were here, and he saw because it was in the fall when you guys were here. It was prime fall. If you've never been to the Midwest, when it's in fall, you're missing something beautiful. But he saw a red tree, like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 acres down. And he knows MARELYN likes to make jewelry and resin out of the different color leaves. So he walked all the way over there, came back and said, look, I found 2 of these beautiful red leaves. And I've never seen that side of Trayvon where he was looking at the world different. And, you know, he was totally different from what I had last remembered him. And I was like, oh man, that's cool. I'm like, I didn't tell him at the time. I wanted to say, man, you've really changed. And I could tell that you are in an environment you don't want to be in because you want to express different feelings about life.
Yeah.
You know, let's go forward a little bit. Let's go a few days before you found out Trayvon passed away. It was still your guys' goal to move to Indiana, correct?
Yeah, we were waiting. Our eyes were set on that log cabin house with the 10 acres and the pond. We were set on that house. Like, we hadn't even checked it out or anything, but we were both set on it. Like, this is the house we want. We're going to make this happen. We're going to make it work.
Right.
We were just waiting for CalPERS to finish up what they needed to do. And we were just basically like ready to go. Like, as I told him, I said, as soon as this money hits, like, we're out. Like, I am ready. Like, we'll pack this stuff up and we're gone.
And go.
Right.
So, let the people in the chat know and the viewers know, CalPERS is the company that controls the retirement, right? For the sheriff?
For any state. So
any state, okay.
Yeah, so CalPERS is our state retirement, state pension, state medical. So anyone who works for the state, that's what we go through.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Risky,
and they were dragging their feet.
Risky fought this for over a year, trying to get his medical leave or his retirement.
Because he was medically retired.
Right. Yeah. And it stressed him out very, very bad. To be a grown man in your late 40s, not having any income and having like 4 children
it's hard. And
it's hard.
And know that somebody is holding up your hard-earned money. Like, you've put your career, your dues to the state, and now they're treating you like, we don't care.
Yeah.
We can wait.
Yeah. It sucks. So it took him, so he was deemed medically retired I think August of 2023. Shittily, everything got finalized from what his brother was able to confirm either that Friday after he passed away or the following Monday. So
so he never collected any of the money he tried. He fought so hard.
Did he? Yeah, it's just
that's, to me, that's when I think about his passing, that's one of the saddest things.
That's what pisses me off even more.
I think about,
like, you know, this company was like, oh, well, this I isn't dotted correctly. This you forgot to cross this T. So
literally, that's what it was.
Yeah, literally that's what. So 3 months later, we're just gonna wait till you figure it out, and you can come that very next afternoon or the next day with that I dot and that T cross, and they'll still drag their feet.
Yeah, which they did. So with everything he was going through, not having money, I would tell him constantly, like, let's just do the civil marriage so at least you can get on my insurance. Like, he had no medical insurance. He couldn't do anything until the paperwork was done. He couldn't get on any state funded documentation or anything. Any state resources that were supposed to be available, he couldn't do until they finalized his paperwork. So he had no medical insurance, so couldn't get to the doctor. He had a cracked tooth, couldn't get that fixed, a bunch of stuff. And, you know, not to keep going back to it, but this woman, like, ruined him to the point where he wouldn't even trust us getting married yet because of everything.
Right.
And you know what, and all that stress on top of him as well, like that, you know, it's a thing on top of a thing on top of a thing. So
and I was there. I mean, I was there. It took MARELYN a while to build trust. Because I didn't trust her for at least the first 2 years of my life. Only because what I've been through with women in my life.
Exactly.
So,
you've been there.
So it's not just women who encounter bad men. Like, it's the opposite too sometimes, you know. A lot of times. There's a lot of single fathers out there who are getting fucked over by women, and, you know, they're not the talk of the town because that doesn't fit the agenda. But so you guys were very much in the process of moving out here to get him some clarity, to get yourself some clarity. It was December 5th, and I forget what time of day it was. It was in the morning. I know that.
You guys called me around 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it was afternoon for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I got the phone call, SimplyRisky didn't wake up in the morning. The first thing my wife and I said to this woman was, you have the
wrong Trayvon.
The wrong Trayvon.
Yeah.
It's not Trayvon Sawyer you're talking about.
I was convinced.
It's not SimplyRisky.
Yep.
He was just here. There's no way. And when it sank in, we realized the next phone call had to be
Angie.
To you. We don't know what it was like, Angie. So walk us through the phone call and what your life has been like and what you've experienced since then. If you want to, like this.
No, you can.
Okay, this podcast, I'm gonna tell you, is for you. And all of these
healing therapy session.
Yes, and all of these viewers here that support the Symptoms of Reality regimen, they're here for the same thing. Like we all help each other, and we're all wanting to hear the story so we can all be there with you and carry the weight with you. You know what I mean? So don't carry this by yourself. Walk us through it.
So, little like backstory. So, Trayvon and I would, every morning, you know, we have our routines. By 6:30 in the morning, one of us was texting the other one, good morning, especially when I was at work, because he knew I'd be up and I knew he'd usually be up to get the kids to school. So I had lost track of time. I had texted him around 7:30, good morning. No response. 9:30, text him again, and I said, I'm assuming your phone is off because, you know, finances were hard. And his mom would usually pay his phone bill because he had no income. So then I actually Zelled him $150 also to make sure, you know, he had some money because Thursday, December 5th was his aunt's viewing and December 6th was his aunt's funeral. I knew he was stressed out. He needed to get the kids some clothes. He was going to actually take them to the Goodwill to find clothes, which his mother even commented, like, why are you going to go there? And he's like, well, what else am I supposed to do? I don't have any money to take them anywhere else.
Yeah.
So some time went by and then MARELYN called me. And
the hardest phone call I have ever had to make my whole entire it took me everything in my power to call you, Angie.
Thanks. But MARELYN calls and she goes, hey, have you talked to T? And I'm like, no. I mean, I texted him, but his phone is off. I'm sure, you know, his phone died. And she's like, when was the last time you talked to him? And that's when I knew.
Did you know as soon as I asked you that question?
The second question, yeah. I was like, fuck. Because first I thought you were just like, you guys were trying to get a hold of him to like talk to him about something. And I was like, oh, his phone's off. Like, whatever, not a big deal. But then as soon as you said, when was the last time you talked to him? I knew.
Yeah.
So you were on the phone, and Lamont, you were on the phone with somebody else. I think you're on the phone with Susie then, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And then I heard you say something about the coroner, and then I ran out because I'm in an office position now, so I ran out of my office, and I knew one of my sergeants was in the office next to me, and I started pounding on her door, and she was actually one of Trayvon's trainees. The last person he ever trained was her. And I was like, and I told her the Morissette, and she was what? And then she kind of heard the conversation, and I literally, like, I collapsed. I fell to the floor, and this is the only third time that my body has literally just given out to me when I've heard, like, this news. The first time was my friend Brittany when they found her body. And then my dad, and now Trayvon. And then she basically like forced me to get up, and she's like, we got to get you down to the locker room. And I'm like, okay. We go halfway down the hall. I'm still on the phone with MARELYN. And we literally stop, and I collapse again right in front of my lieutenant's office. And she calls my lieutenant, and he wasn't in his office, but she calls him like we thought he was, and she's like, hey, I need you to come out of your office right now. And he heard me like in the back. He couldn't tell if I was crying, laughing, whatever. He thought we were just playing around. She's like, no, T, like it's serious, like you need to come out. And he's like, I'm not there, what's going on? And then so she told him what was going on, and then she got me back up. She got me down the stairs into our locker room, where then I collapsed again, was just like a ball of mush on the floor. And I had like anybody and everybody just coming in, male, female, all my supervisors, just everybody was in there. Still on the phone with MARELYN.
Yeah.
I didn't have the courage to get off the phone, because I just didn't, even though I was surrounded by all these people, I felt like I would have been alone without MARELYN being on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I felt that too, and I kept making sure I know I kept asking you, is there somebody there? Is there somebody there? Because I was just worried about you at the time. You know, like my heart was broken because of Trayvon, but wholeheartedly I was more concerned about you.
Yeah, thank you. And then I I was, as you guys know, I was like, oh fuck my truck, because I saw the truck there. And thankfully it's in my name. So I was like, shit, I need to get that from them, because I didn't know his family and I didn't know if I could trust anybody.
Yeah.
So then I had that moment of strength where I was like, okay, I got to get this figured out. We got off the phone, and then I text you, not meaning to. I meant to text Susie.
Yeah.
And then I called my mom. She left work immediately. And then my coworker friend, Evelyn, called my sister because I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then they got me home. I mean, like, I am so thankful for the community that I have at work, that they made sure I got home and they stayed with me till my mom got here. But like that, God, that day, like, you relive it. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I went back to work, I sat there and, I relived it sitting at my desk. When I opened my computer that next time I went back to work, everything was there that I was working on when I left. And it's just
so you relived the moment again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. For me, I think I now have this sorrow, and this may sound, cold-hearted, take it how you please, but this is how I feel. This is my feelings. I have more sorrow, not because of Trayvon passing, because I know he's at peace and he's not in pain anymore, and he's not stressed out anymore out of his mind. But I have more sorrow now for you, Angie, more than anything, because I can't give you a hug.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And that's all I've wanted to do since that day, was give you a hug.
Know. I wanted to so bad get on that plane that day.
Yeah.
But I had so much anxiety leading up to that Sunday.
Even packing. You couldn't even pack.
No.
Yeah. I remember you texted me and you're like, I can't even pack.
No.
Yeah.
I couldn't pack. I couldn't do anything. I'm just like, I can't fucking do it. Like, as much as I wanted to be with you guys, because I knew being there was going to give me the comfort that I needed.
Yeah.
It was getting there, which was going to be the challenge. And even my sister told me after I changed my mind to stay, she's like, honestly, I was worried that I would have to come find you in wherever your layover was. Because you wouldn't make it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to make it. And you said it yourself. You're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, because the first time I ever went to Indiana to visit you guys was with Trayvon.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then I reminded you also that the only place that we had for you to stay here in the house was in the room that you stayed in with Trayvon. So it wasn't me trying to convince you not to come, but me trying to remind you of all those things, because I wanted you to come here to find solace and peace, not more stress.
Right.
Yeah. No, and I understood that. It was just getting there was the biggest challenge, because even like when we had our ridiculously long delay at LAX, and we ventured around, and we figured out that you can go from the terminal we were in, which is Terminal 3, the Delta terminal, and there's actually a walkway where you can get over to Tom Bradley, and there's like all the restaurants and the shops and like this whole other area that I didn't knew we could have access to. So like just even thinking about that, I'm just like, my last like big adventure was with him.
Yeah.
On our way to Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncle Chrome is asking, and we've had this conversation outside of the live, but he's asking, what does the future hold for you? Do you plan on moving to Indiana?
Honestly, right now, I don't know what my future holds. As you guys know, like my brain it's done the weirdest thing. Like it goes through these cycles. So immediately I was like, I'm going to move to Minnesota. Yeah. Like immediately I texted my cousins and I was like, can you guys find me a job in Minnesota? Yeah. And then it was, I don't want to do that. I'm going to get an RV and I'm going to go tour. Yeah. And then I was like, well, the RV, and I talked to people like the RV is not feasible because, RVs break down. You have to do all this stuff. Yeah. My car's all-wheel drive. You have to put it and tow it. Like, it's not easy. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll get rid of my car and I'll get a truck and I'll get a fifth wheel toy hauler. Yeah. Well, my Audi, I lease it. So then there's that. Yeah. So I'm like, well, shit.
It's called you're grieving, Angie. Exactly. You're going through a scenario of, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to move to Indiana next to you guys. No, I'm going to go back near family. You're grieving. Yeah. And you're entitled to decide that you want to do something 5, 10, 100 times a day.
Yeah. Eventually, like I either want to end up in either Minnesota or even in Indiana. I actually talked to this woman at work just super randomly the other day. And because an email had gone out about his passing, and my name was on there, like for questions, contact me. Yeah. And so people are like, oh, so you're the Angela? And I'm like, yes, I'm the Angela. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. So I was talking to this woman, and she had asked me like what was going, like our plans and stuff like that, and what we're gonna do. And I told her, and I told them about the horses and all this stuff, and what I wanted to do when we moved out there, get some horses and stuff.
Dirt bikes.
Mini farm. Just kidding.
Yes.
I wanted a mini farm. He was about it.
Half God and half beast, and Hello said, you will figure it out in time. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Do it when you're ready. Thank you.
Yep.
But I do eventually what I think I want to do, which is not going to be easy. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Don't say sorry, girl. You're we can cry this whole freaking interview if you want.
Let's go.
You deserve it.
We already started.
This is the healing process. Yeah. There's no rules to this interview.
Yeah, because when we found out and we knew we had to go live the same day.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, my brother Marilyn and I, we found comfort in our community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they held us up through it all. And when they found out what happened, they were just as devastated.
Yeah.
And so you had this whole community at that time and moment, everyone sitting devastated. you know. And I remember Uncle Chrome saying, play music. And let's, you know, Cressy, play music. Let's talk about it and play music. Simply would say, go unbroken. Don't you dare stop because I fail.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This, and we've had many discussions about life and how short it is. And he would roll in his grave if he knew we stopped for a moment.
Yes.
Oh, he'd be pissed.
He would be. Yeah.
So what were you going to say?
I want to, here we go again.
Say it with tears. That's fine.
I would like to open a horse rescue in his honor.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Because I know, I mean,
we need a lot of horse rescues.
Yeah, do it out here and I'll be the farrier for it, damn it.
There you go.
I know what I was hoping.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Done.
I was like, either way, because, you know, Minnesota's not far, but Indiana would be, it's actually cheaper in Indiana because I have been looking at properties, and in Minnesota right now, there's not a lot of like acreage. And for me, the only thing that affects my decisions is honestly my nephew. So he's gonna be 6 in March, and he and I have this crazy bond. Like from day one, we've had this bond. He and I are just like 1 and 1. Even like last night, my mom babysits him when my sister's working. And he slept over with my mom last night, and he just fell asleep on me. Like he was awake and then he wasn't. But what makes it hard for me, and this is one of my hardest parts about when we agreed to move to Indiana, was leaving him here. But I've explained to him, you know, it's easy to get to me. My sister and his dad are going through their divorce right now, which, you know, hoping it goes my sister's way, where my sister will get full custody. Because of the way that his dad's an asshole. His dad sucks. So I know Minnesota would be easier for him to come see me, which is really the only reason why I would want to stay in Minnesota. But it's so I mean, there's things that I have to weigh and balance and decide. But either way, I really want to do this in his honor, because he, as you guys know, I mean, he loved horses. Horses was his thing.
Lemon Lifer said, yes.
Yes.
Which I think that means she might come help you do this too.
The horse rescue. If you want any information of what it takes,
we work for a
to
rescue.
Open a horse rescue, I will get you in contact with this wonderful woman by the name of Michelle. She her horse rescue
is
amazing. The state has her on speed dial because she's probably the only horse rescue that you can probably trust around here. So if they had a second one here in the area, I'm sure she would be like, oh my God, thank you. But at least that way, you know what it takes to, you know, have an organization like that.
Because it's not, I know it's not going to be cheap. I mean, taking care of just one horse isn't cheap. So I know, and especially, and that's a healthy horse. You're usually spending like $1,000 no matter what.
But if you, I know if you have a rescue and you do it correctly and stuff like that, the state
will come in and
gives you a monthly allowance to help. And
I think it's like $10,000 a month or something like that.
I think so. Yeah. Michelle will definitely be able to help you with all of that. Yeah.
Because that's definitely what I want to end up doing, is that at some point.
Did you or your family ever have or own horses before when you were growing
I didn't own horses, but my grandparents had stables on their property. So they had at one point, they had about 12 stables. One of my grandma's really close friends. She had a business going until the Palisades fire burnt that down. She had been running a horse riding school for about 30 years. So when I was little, I would go riding. I'd come down every summer and spend time with my grandparents, and I'd go riding a lot, do trail riding. She was teaching me how to do trick riding, like doing the handstands and all the tricks and cartwheels and all that stuff on the back of a horse. So I was learning that when I was younger. So yeah, I mean, we used to ride a lot. I realized that I like riding bareback rather than with a saddle. I don't like saddles. They're not comfy.
Yeah.
I prefer bareback riding, but yeah.
I'm sure the horse does too.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so growing up, I was around horses a lot, fed them, took care of them, brushed them, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was and I kind of want to know this from you too, and we're gonna go to a brighter section.
Okay.
This is a question for you and Trayvon, because Simply is still here with you and with us. What was his fantasies and fascinations about with UFOs and aliens and stuff? He said he saw some stuff. Now, what's going on with that? You have to fill us in.
Oh my gosh, that man. He was adamant that it exists. It all exists.
Yeah.
Hey, is he wrong? I don't think he's wrong.
I mean, to the extreme of his side.
Yeah. But in a way, he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong. He kind of opened my eyes to it, because he's like, come on, think about it. He's like, for one, like we would talk about like NASA and the space stuff and photos, and he's like, for one, he was adamant that stuff wasn't legit. He was also kind of a conspiracy theorist at times,
right?
Which always created good conversation. But yes, he believes that UFOs, aliens, everything is out there. We're being watched. We're not the only beings. He would listen to certain podcasts about it. Even him and his brother last Mother's Day, they went to a seminar about like basically like ancient aliens and stuff. He was big on it. He believed it all was all here. But like I said, it kind of, the way he would talk about it, I don't know if he was just a very convincing person, because he's good at convincing you to do things and to believe things. But it kind of started to open my eyes to it, just understanding and realizing that we're not the only ones. I know he sent you guys that video of that orb he saw recently. Yeah.
We were actually on the phone with him, and he was tripping out because it was this shiny bright ball.
It was during the day.
It was during the day, and he was speechless on the phone for 15 minutes. Like,
and we had to tell him, stop talking, go videotape it.
Get a video. And he was like, this thing is going back and forth, and the sky is going back and forth. I'm like, Trayvon, what do you mean back and forth? He goes, it's going from east to west within seconds. It's going to the same location, then back to the original location, and it's just doing that nonstop.
And cover a big distance.
And it would cover big distance. I'm like, well, it don't sound like a plane, does it? He said, man, I'm not looking at a plane. I'm looking at something that I can't explain. And that's when MARELYN said, well, hang the fucking phone up and get a video. And he did. He did.
I was like, Trayvon, stop. And then I go, are you seeing me? What do you always say?
He always say, look, man,
look. I'm like, look, Trayvon, are you looking? He's like, yeah, what's up? I go, hang up the phone and go videotape.
That definitely is like when I like confirm. I'm like, all right, like, because I know CGI and all that stuff is out there, so I can't guarantee what other people are posting. But when he sent me that, I was like, no shit, like, that's not normal. So
I'm a huge skeptic. Like Crazy Rabbit said, here's my title above my head, skeptic. I'm there with him. And I tend not to believe all this stuff on YouTube and the news and stuff like that. I just believe what I see with my eyes.
Right.
And And I've seen some things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I know there's something out there.
Same here. It's like when you see it for yourself and then other people try to say what you saw wasn't what you saw. Well, it's like, nah, you weren't here. And I get you're trying to lend your opinion, and that's fine. You're entitled to it. And that's cool. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But you weren't here, and you can't explain what I just saw and why I keep seeing the weirdest things I'm seeing. You know?
Is that Thelma?
No, this one's Fievel.
Oh, wait, how many
3.
cats do you have?
3. This is Fievel because she looks like the mouse.
Oh, look at how cute.
Yeah, she's old. She'll be 16 in June.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was your belief on all this? Did you share the same belief, or are you still kind of like, Trayvon was crazy as hell?
I did and I didn't. There are certain things I would think about, and he would kind of bring it to light because, like, we would talk about, the Hoover Dam for one.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's stuff in the Hoover Dam we can't talk about and all that kind of stuff. Like, we would talk about it.
He was so big in conspiracies.
Yeah,
he was
huge in conspiracies.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, here we go again, Trayvon. But it was nice to talk about it. Just
And
don't believe the bullshit,
And
Trayvon.
like Angie said, he'd be able to convince you it was true.
Yeah, he would.
Go on.
But then, because I would think about it, I'm like, well, movies wouldn't have been created. Like, for example, Alien and Predator, like movies like that. Like, you can't just create those kind of movies without having some base to it. Same with, like, even today, even I was like, I know they're gonna ask me about aliens. And
because your man is crazy.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well, he was our best friend for a reason.
Because he was just as crazy.
Yeah.
He always made for good conversations.
Jeez.
But even, like, I was thinking back as, like, because even with the movie Men in Black, and I was like, that's kind of when my brain started kind of rolling a little bit, because I was like, especially the end where they have the big aliens playing marbles with Earth as one of the marbles. And I was like, in reality, are we really in a universe within a universe? Like, is that possible? So I've always kind of thought about it, but I kind of push it to the side because I was like, I'm probably one of the only ones that think like this. And then, when Trayvon and I would talk, like, I wouldn't admit to him that, like, I kind of think he's right, because then, that also would boost his ego.
I like what Hello said. Post that up.
Using intuition?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what Icing said, when you get a chance to look
using
at
intuition is not a conspiracy, it's knowing without fact.
Yeah, I like that.
Hello.
I'm gonna get a shirt. Hello. Damn you, Mark.
That's called a conspiracy. You literally just quoted the definition instead of saying conspiracy.
I don't know. I'm with you, Mark. I'm with you. Sometimes your gut knows better.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, even like his Bigfoot stuff too, I was like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then, you'd have experiences. Like, I was in Minnesota, and I brought it up before, where it was pitch black, and something walked behind me, and I heard it go through the bushes, and it sounded like bigger than a deer, like almost as if there was a moose, and there's not moose in that area. So, I mean, when things like that happen, you're like, okay, now what? But he would bring up, like, because there's one podcast he would always listen to where this guy would read stories about interactions or situations where
oh my God, I think we got him on that podcast. Was it just a older guy with glasses?
Yes. Yeah.
The dude that wrote the books, the missing 411 files.
David Paulides.
Yeah.
Yep.
He had one of the stories that he had read was about an incident that happened in Mammoth.
Yeah.
Where this guy was up in Mammoth and like some things happened, and he's like, "Did you ever experience that?" And I was like, "No." And like,
he was like, "We're never moving to Mammoth."
Mammoth again.
Right. Basically, that's where that went.
Yeah.
But like as a kid, you didn't think about it because like when I lived in Mammoth, like we had forests and stuff like that. I'll be playing out in the woods like 24/7 basically. And, but as a child, that stuff doesn't really affect you. Like you don't really think about it.
Right.
but then now, like, I think back at it now, and I'm like, well, we weren't allowed to go certain distances and things like that. So, maybe there was always a possibility. My mom was more closed-minded about things like that. My dad would have been more open-minded. If anything, my dad would have probably he could have been the reason why we had ground rules of where we can and cannot go for such reasons like that. Because he did also work at the ski area, he was a lift mechanic, and he did snow removal in the winter. So I'm sure maybe he had seen things, and him living in Yosemite probably. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that like Trayvon would talk about, at some point it would kind of start to make sense. But then again, I was like, are you just trying to convince me, or am I actually like thinking about this on my own?
Yeah. Biscuit, Crazy Rabbit has a beautiful comment for Angie. Massive hugs to you, Angie, on your journey ahead. Cry, laugh, live, love yourself and those important to you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Rabbit.
Yeah. Trayvon would have loved a Crazy fucking Rabbit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they had some interaction.
They did, yeah.
Maybe they did,
yeah.
At his viewing, we're sitting around, and at one point it was me, his mom, brother, like his close family. And I'm sitting there, and I'm crying, and I started thinking, I was like, I half expected him to sit up and be like, why are you all crying about me, and stop fussing about me, it's not a big deal.
Right.
Just because that's how he was constantly. Sorry, my cat's trying to eat my watch. It's better than eating. She tries to eat my ring too. It's kind of annoying. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he. Sorry to get off topic, but
no, go ahead.
He was never big about people fussing over him.
Right.
And I try to remind myself of that, but at the same time, it's like, he's the first man that I've ever truly loved. I mean, I've had relationships in the past, and relationships that went as long as ours did, but it was not the same. Like, we had goals and we had ambitions, and at this point, it's like, honestly, and I'm,
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't even I know it's still fresh. I mean, we're not even 2 months in, but it's like, I can't even see myself loving anyone. Like, I don't know where I'm going to end up. Like, I mean, my mom has been without my dad. They were together for almost 36 years. And she's tried dating, I think, but it's not the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you have a connection with someone and it's severed through death, I think a piece of you go with that individual.
Oh, yeah.
You're okay. You're okay to be by yourself for the rest of this lifetime.
But I think a lot of people also assume that because they've lost somebody like that, and if they seek love somewhere else, it's them forgetting about them in a way. Like, they feel like they're betraying them. But just know that I'm sure that loved one would never want you to feel alone and would never want you to not feel love again.
Right.
And just because you choose to love somebody else doesn't mean that you loved them any less.
Right. You still have to live on this planet.
Yes.
That person is no longer on this planet. They're off to the next step. I truly believe there is a next step, But with that being said, what was his funeral like? What took place at the funeral? Did they have an open casket?
They started with an open casket, but when people walked in, they had closed it, and then after everyone was done going through the obituary and the readings and stuff, they had opened it back up so people could walk by and have their last viewing.
Yeah.
Right.
I have mixed feelings about how everything went with the service.
Mm-hmm.
I learned his family did not know him. Nobody knew him as well. I don't mean to like brag about it and make it seem like, you know, I'm the only one, but in reality, based on like on his family side, nobody knew him like I knew him.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the readings that they wrote, not the obituary, I don't know, I have the program, but even in there, and this made me really mad, and I think Melissa wrote this because she put in there that Scarlett was his daughter. And I was like, that's not his daughter. Like, why? Stop lying. Things like that made me upset. They didn't acknowledge him going to Louisiana. I'm like, did they not know his life? They didn't talk about a lot of the things that he actually did. They didn't talk about his time as a paramedic. They didn't talk about any of it. I'm like, how did you guys not know him? And I only was with him for 5 years.
Right. Yeah.
I wasn't included as a family. Melissa and Susie got to sit with the family because, you know, they have children with him. But I asked his brother, do I walk in with the family or do I walk in with friends? And he's like, it's up to you. So I walked in with our friends and I sat with our friends.
Yeah.
He looked at peace. That's what I cared about mostly.
Yeah.
He was peaceful. He was finally resting. You guys would have loved his outfit. His brother did a good job picking out his outfit. He literally, I wanted to take a picture, but I was like, it's probably morbid to take a picture.
Right.
He was in a gray suit. They had put white gloves on him. He had a pocket thing, the pocket scarf. I think it was blue. And then he had like the hat with the little brim, like not a fedora, but that other kind of hat. I forget what it's called.
Of course he had a hat. Yeah.
And his beard, and I did text his brother. I said, I have only one request. Please do not let them shave off his beard. And his brother said, no, they're not going to. They're going to clean it up. I said, thank you. I said, that was my favorite feature of his. He literally, though, he could have been in Peaky Blinder.
So he had a messenger hat.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, Simply had a thing about our viewers in the UK.
Oh,
he so much wanted to go visit,
especially with poor Gracie.
Oh my God, he wanted to go visit Grace Griffin.
He couldn't wait till the 124-hour stream because he was gonna say cheerio to
cheerio, Gracie.
He couldn't wait till Gracie got on.
And his favorite artist and who motivated him the most to want him to get a NPC was Sam Jones, the Panda Man.
Yep.
And he wanted so bad for us to go to the UK and meet the hardware jammers.
Because he was going to be right there with us.
We're and like, the people that supported the Symptoms of Reality.
I'm like, I would tell T on my T, we don't have enough bail money for you, dude. Like, if you and Panda got together, like, I know every time we had Panda play like one of his things, he's like, he would always say, how come I so badly want to party with Panda?
Right. Yeah. Man, he wanted to meet Tracker Jack so bad. Yep. He said, Tracker Jack. He said, I think we know who Tracker Jack is. If he was in the States, he would be our best friend too. Because we're into hip hop and we're into jazz together, and and we can all relate in a major way. And he just wanted to go see these people so bad, and that breaks my heart that he didn't get a chance to do that.
Yeah, he can now at a split second in time.
He can.
Hello said, it's difficult to see what the future will be after the type of loss, but with some time you realize it was just a beautiful chapter of your life, and it doesn't mean it will be your last happy chapter.
Word.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep. Yeah. Beautifully said. Hello.
Yeah. I can definitely guarantee that he set a bar. Like,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, even like, I'll look around, I'll see some guy, and I'll be like, nope.
Yeah.
No. I'm like, I need, and I would call, like, people would ask, like, my family would ask me, oh, well, what's Trayvon like? And I was like, not to sound derogative or offensive, I would tell them, I said, but he is like the blackest redneck you would ever meet.
Oh, for real?
Yep.
Yeah.
My brother and I got called that too.
Black peaches for a reason.
Right. Black peaches.
I mean. Okay, so.
Wait, hang on. Before you say that.
Okay. It's a hilarious freaking story.
And I know it is, but I have to tell Angie about the synchronicity that happened today.
Okay.
Today? So okay. Because I don't know this.
Oh, you don't, but you will.
Okay.
This morning I woke up and going through my normal regimen, and Davy's on, the Hug Monster. And I just love going to Davy's channel.
She has such a great stream.
And messing with her ass and trying to get her to show me her feet, right? And
poor Davy.
Smell her finger. But I love Davy the Hug Monster channel. I don't know why I keep harassing her, but it is what it is.
I keep telling her,
a big part of me thinks she loves it.
Ignore him like how I do, and he'll eventually go away. Let's stop.
Okay, so
she said she needs to get a foot cam for you.
She needs to.
Yeah.
Jeff got one. Jeff Hopkins. Okay, so I'm sitting there lurking for the most part on Davy because I don't like to hop in until I'm absolutely ready because
awake.
Hello, Trusto. For those of you who don't know the Hug Monster. Num. As she was on, the Pubness came on with Kent Spong. And I said, well, let me run over and go sit on Kent Spong. It just came on. I was like maybe the third in to make a comment. And I forget, I think Simon was on with Kent early and he was going to come back. I don't know because these two got the collab together. Maybe they're going to work on something together.
Before you finish your story, Kent's like, I wish I would have met this guy. He seems like the kind of guy that would have loved the pub and stuff. Okay, FYI, if Kent ever met Simply,
it would have been
at the end of YouTube.
Yeah, end of our show for sure.
Yeah.
Probably the end of his show.
Literally. If Risky ever involved with Kent, that's it. I think authorities would be knocking on both or three of the doors at the same time.
I used to worry about Risky and Hello. Right? Because Risky and Hello would cause all kind of fucking shit together.
Well, I said, hello, is this your long lost brother, Risky?
Right.
Like, okay, sorry. I just had to say that.
So I go
Carry on.
I go on to the Pubness, and and here's the huge synchronicity, and I believe in synchronicity, not coincidence.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there commenting with Kent, and he's got his instruments working, and people start to flood into the Pubness, and I'm saying hello to everyone. And I can't tell you what it was, but something said, go back to Davy the Hug Monster's channel, right? I don't know what that feeling was because once I get settled in on the Pubness, I'm there. I'm getting ready to start my workout and listen to the Pubness because listening to Kent can be a fucking shit show, right? And he drags everybody down with him.
Everybody.
And so I go, well, let me go back to, because Kent was already starting to fill up. He had like over 20-something viewers. And I like to spread my love to people who have less. No offense, Kent. So I went to Davy's channel. And Davy knows I use her channel to work out with. So I'm like, I'm going to go to Davy's channel. Something's pulling me there. And so as I go into the comment section, I leave a comment, which is normally a bunch of feet with looking eyes. And out of nowhere, and this is the day of Angie's podcast, right? Out of nowhere, hello pops into the comment, and I haven't heard from Mark
Since before Thanksgiving, I believe.
Before, when Trayvon was, when SimplyRisky was, no. I haven't heard from Mark since he found out Trayvon had passed, and that was on December 5th.
Yes.
He joined.
And that's only because Lemon
Lifer happened to synchronicity, like the synchronicity behind it.
Yes.
Lemon Lifer came into the comments the day Risky passed.
Because she came across a recording that she took of something that Risky told her in the chat that she thought was hilarious. So she saved it.
She saved it. And then she came to our show the day he passed.
Yeah, and then that's when she reached out to Hello.
So when I was in Davy's comment box today, Hello was there. And he said,
out of all days,
he said,
the day we have Angie on.
Hello, Trusto. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's literally what I put. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And I was in the bathroom using the restroom and he yells, Marilyn. I'm like, well, hold on. I'm on the potty. You're going to have to wait.
I said, Meryl, you won't believe who's in the chat. Like, and then I started to think, why out of
all the other days?
This could have happened any day.
Could have happened yesterday.
I'm always on Davy's channel.
Tomorrow.
It could have happened, It could have happened when I didn't went back to her channel. And for some reason, in the comment box, Hello said this. I left. I don't know why I came back. But when I came back, you and Marilyn were in here.
Yep.
And that's so many things that can be looked at as a coincidence. But when they consistently happen on the days that they are supposed to happen on, in my mind, in my belief, it's for a reason.
So this just got a bit weirder, and you probably don't know this. Hello said, it is a weird synchronicity today. I did not think about that today. I haven't been watching anyone's stuff, and it was my first time in there ever.
So he's never even been to Davy's channel? See,
that's crazy.
That's the shit I'm talking about. Now, what's at play here? Is it Einstein's spooky action in which, I don't know, maybe Trayvon is alive and well in another dimension and we can't see him? And it tied all of this together.
You know, it was probably
swayed our emotions.
It was probably Trayvon. You know, Trayvon was full of himself, right? And so I'm sure he wants the most. He wants like the biggest number of viewers on his interview over anybody else. So what he can do up there in the heavens to get people to watch, I'm sure he's doing.
Right?
He is.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Yeah.
He loved to connect people together. Yeah. So, like, what are the chances of that? I just had to say it. That synchronicity stuck with me today, and it was bigger than what I've ever encountered as far as synchronicity.
Yeah.
With Hello and Lemon Lifer tied to it, on the day we're going to interview Trayvon's favorite woman on this planet.
Yep.
And here they are again on the exact day without notice. What is that?
Yeah.
How is that?
Something pulled Hello back. And I'm telling you, it was risky. It'd be like, you bastard, you better come watch. Right? They're going to be talking about me.
Yeah.
You know.
And you've been gone far too long from this channel.
Yes.
And we're constantly talking about Hello too. And I even emailed you Hello, making sure you guys were okay. But going back to what Angie said, she said, no offense, but Trayvon is the blackest redneck she's ever met, right?
Right.
Yes.
So everybody knows what Trayvon looks like.
Yes.
Okay. We were.
If you don't know, you can go on Discord or go. I don't know if Tracker Jack has the video up on his.
But he's on our 24-hour live stream.
Go to the 24.
Yeah, or go to the 24-hour live stream.
Go to our 24-hour, 100-day live stream.
So here in the studio, where the position that Lamont is facing, to his right, directly in front of him, there's this corner. And in that corner, we have an extra chair. For when somebody comes and visits or whatever, and we pull it out of the corner and whatnot. So I forget what was going. I don't think Angie was in here yet. I think she was still in the house. I think it was Lamar and myself I thought it was Lamar and myself in the studio, right? And I get up to go do something. I go put on my shoes because we're just very strict about outside shoes being in our living environment. So we have house shoes everywhere. So I took off my house shoes to put my outside shoes to walk out. And all of a sudden in the corner of my eye, I see something moving. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I look over and I'm like, holy shit, Trayvon, I didn't even know you were fucking there. Yeah. He's like, what? I've been here the whole time. I'm like, oh my God, you literally gave me the biggest freaking heart attack. He is in a black hoodie with a black hat in the corner that's not lit.
And black sweatpants.
Yeah. I'm like, dude.
He looked like a shadow.
You dressed up as a shadow for Halloween.
Blacker than black.
Oh my.
Spooky black.
God, that day, all of us were dying.
Yeah.
And then I looked over at him and I said, and then you wonder why we call you Black Peaches.
Yeah. Camouflage risky.
Yeah. And so I told him, I go, look, before we start this
You
live.
need to announce yourself anytime you go somewhere at night.
That, and two, you need to go put on something white so you can stand out on the camera.
Right.
Oh my God. We laughed so hard.
Anybody that black, you need to announce yourself in the dark.
So hard.
I know brothers that got shot for less.
Or be smiling all the time.
Or smile all the time.
Just
let me see them dentals.
Smile all the time. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Trayvon's like, what? I've been here this whole time. Yeah. I'm like, oh, man.
Go back to half God, half beast comment.
Yes.
It's just under Lamar.
The one where it said symptoms?
Yes.
My belief is when... oh, hang on 1 second. I need to change this real quick. Okay. My belief is that when synchronicity starts happening very often, it is life's way of saying, this is the right direction you are heading in. I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what is that?
Yeah, you got to listen to the signs that the universe is telling you.
What is that, Bicky? Is that Einstein's spooky actions as well? I know you're familiar with Einstein's spooky action, but something in this universe is tying us together, whether you believe it or not.
Didn't you guys constantly see Indiana, everything in California when you were thinking about moving?
Yeah. Everything. You would see, like, even like truck trailers. There'd be an Indiana license plate. He was somewhere. Oh, he was in a parking lot somewhere. And he watched this woman in a big rig. She gets out and he was gonna actually go talk to her because I forget what it was, but it's something, so I forget why he was gonna go talk to her, other than the fact that the plates or something on the truck was Indiana.
Yeah.
And he was gonna go talk to her and ask her, like, if she's from Indiana and, like, all this kind of stuff, just because that's the closest experience he had to tying everything to Indiana at that time.
Yeah.
But we would see license plates. Everything was Indiana. Even, like, now, like, there's people I follow on TikTok and Instagram that are from Indiana.
Yeah. So you're seeing signs now.
Yeah, constantly. I can't remember, there was something big one day that literally was like, this is it. Like, this is our definite sign that we need to go to Indiana. But I cannot remember what it was.
Huh.
I can't. But yeah, it was something that, like, that was a confirmation, like, we got to go.
Yeah, the universe definitely tells you. When we were toying with the idea of either going to Oregon or Wyoming when we were in California, we instantly saw everything Wyoming everywhere. Right. Everywhere was Wyoming. Even people with, like, a sweatshirt or a jacket, and it had the, little cowboy riding, bronc style.
Right.
It's like, really? What, in California?
Yeah.
And I know a big part of it is once you set your mind to go somewhere, you're gonna see it more often.
But at that time, we
at that
weren't
time-
set. We weren't set on Wyoming.
Right,
We
we
were
weren't-
debating on
Right.
one or the
You're
two.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
Because you and I were still convinced on Oregon, and your
Yes.
brother was the one that mentioned Wyoming.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, even like when we weren't trying to find it, things would just pop up.
Yeah.
And even like with him, so one of the biggest things like he would tell me about, you know, his dad and his grandpa would come and visit him, is he would just be wherever and he would find dimes on the ground. Well, after
yes.
Mhm. And after he
Yeah.
passed away, I have only found 2 dimes, which I still have.
Oh, wow.
And it was like the first week, I think that I found them both within the first week of his passing is when I found him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's always like whatever it is, if you need to communicate with somebody on the other side, or you need that reassurance, or, you know, that confirmation that you're making the right decisions, things just pop up.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, like with the Indiana stuff, it was for sure like that's where we were supposed to be. And I told them that. I forget, I really wish I could remember what it was, but I was like, this is literally life pushing us to go, like telling us we need to be in Indiana.
Yeah. How does your family feel? How did your family respond to Risky's death?
The ones that met him, so my mom and my sister and my nephew had met him. Of those 3, my mom took it pretty hard as well. She liked him so much. She honestly, she was thankful for him. And even when because she came with me to the funeral, and she told his mom that, you know, she said, your son was amazing. He was a good guy. He held himself well. She really liked him. She knew that we were supposed to be together. My nephew, I don't really know if he's experienced death already, unfortunately, just being 5. My grandfather passing away, and then one of my uncles. But this is probably the first one where he can actually remember the person. He doesn't talk about it, but I know he misses him also, because like every day I would see my nephew. His name's Diego. If I'd be around him, he'd be like, Angie, where's Trayvon? What's Trayvon doing? Oh, is that Trayvon texting you? Oh, tell Trayvon this. Like, so my nephew just got into watching football. Uh-huh. And as much as I've tried to convince him otherwise, he's a Vikings fan. And he knows I'm a Cowboy fan, and then he knows that Trayvon's a Falcons fan. So we'd be watching football and be like, oh, no, we have to go watch the Falcons because that's Trayvon's team. So I haven't asked him how he feels, because I don't know if like he's ready to talk about it, because he has his own life he's trying to manage with my sister and his dad's separation. So I'm sure he's taking it hard. My sister didn't spend a lot of time with Trayvon as much as like my mom got to. So she's not feeling it really, but she's been here for me as much as she possibly can with her schedule.
Right.
She got appointed as a council member for Fullerton, on top of being a school nurse, on top of being a single mother, on top of also working as a float nurse out of UCLA. So she was extremely busy, but she's been here for me when I've needed her for the most part. I don't think she understood at first how this was affecting me.
Right.
I kind of yelled at her on Christmas, kind of lost it on Christmas. Christmas was a pretty rough day. But kind of lost it on her. And I think after that, she finally realized like where I am, because basically I was brought up as the boy in the family. because they were really hoping that like I was going to be a boy. Because back then ultrasounds weren't what they are today, so you couldn't really tell.
Right.
So they kind of had already had a mindset that I was going to be a boy when I was little. So that's how I was raised. I was raised to be the tough one, the one that doesn't cry, the one that is going to be like the man of the house if something happens. Like that was how I was. So my family's never really experienced me going through these emotions. So my sister's finally seen it, and now she's been there for me more than before. But going back to your question, they didn't get to build that relationship as much as I wish they could have. It just, our schedules didn't really match up. But if anything, it's re-triggered my mom's grief of losing my dad than anything.
Right.
Which I feel bad about, because that's not what I want her to go through again.
So, and I guess we can say this now. I don't see any reason why we can't. Can we say how Trayvon died, or is that something the family wants to keep private?
No, we can talk about it.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and talk about that?
Well, what exactly?
How did he pass away?
In his sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you want to go through the whole thing?
Yeah.
So,
do you want to go through the whole thing?
No, we can. I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about it, because it's on my mind a lot. I know it's on your mind.
Constantly.
We haven't talked at all. And
no, yeah.
And I don't want to put you on the spot, because the first time we're talking about this is in front of everybody. So,
yeah.
But I happen to believe this, I mean, and I'm not going to speak for you, but talking in front of my family, it helps, because it shows people where we come from, mm-hmm. and we're going through the same things they're going through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he passed away sometime in his sleep. Him and his ex-wife, the twins' mom, were co-parenting. They were living in the same house, but obviously they weren't sleeping together. Those two actually could not stand each other. Couldn't really be in the same room together. We're not cordial. There's just whatever. So he was supposed to get up early and take the kids shopping for his aunt's viewing and funeral. And around 9 o'clock, his ex-wife finally went to wake him up. Because anyone who knows Trayvon or Risky, knows he does not sleep in. Sleeping in for him is like 8 o'clock. That man is always up early.
Right.
So I guess they just, let him sleep, because they just thought he was tired, because, he'd been going through a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that had been going on with him and the family and just life. So around 9 o'clock, she goes in there to try to wake him up, and he doesn't wake up. He was found laying on his stomach with his hands like stretched out, because to help him go to sleep, he would watch YouTube. And that was normal. He would always do that. Even when he would stay with me, I would have my TV on to fall asleep, because I need noise to fall asleep, but I'd have the TV on, but he would have an AirPod in and he'd be listening to YouTube. That's just how he would sleep. Mm-hmm. And so that's how he was found, was just like that. His phone had died. So she tried to wake him up, and he was just non-responsive. The initial medical exam, coroner exam, came back, and it's very vague. They just said that he passed away of cardiac deficiencies or something like that. Mm-hmm. Which can mean a plethora of things. I I am waiting for the official written documented cause of death. With that information, I do plan to seek a benefits attorney and see if we can sue the CalPERS, go after them for the delay of preventing him from getting medical attention. His brother had told me that he was supposed to be on blood pressure medication, which he wasn't taking to my knowledge. He would have like a little pill capsule or like a little pill holder. It was orange. And he would take a pill from that about once a day. But I thought it was just a pain pill. I didn't ask questions because to me it just didn't matter. And I'm assuming it was maybe, if anything, bear medicine, because you know bear helps if you're having heart problems. They tell you to take bear.
Right.
He wouldn't tell me if he had medical stuff going on. The only thing I knew was his tooth. I mean, it could have been an abscess that ruptured. There could be so many other causes of him having heart failure. But yeah, I mean, that's as much as we know right now. I want to get more information, and I talked to his brother about it. And his brother is completely fine and okay with me pursuing legal if it is necessary.
Yeah. So he died of heart complications, let's just say.
Yeah.
Despite what the true cause was, it's heart complications. Now, he's had heart issues his whole life. And his brother said that, I think it was 20, 25 years ago. If Moser is still in the chats, he can help us. But I think it was 25 years ago, maybe, he was supposed to get, it was a simple surgery. His brother and, Trayvon and his brother walked into the hospital. And
I don't even think they got to walk in. I think they were just in the parking lot.
Parking lot or walked in?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But the doctor said it's a very simple procedure. And it's we just have to go in and do it. So Trayvon's brother told my brother, they were there. They were there at the hospital for the procedure. And at the last moment, he decided against it. For what reason, I think we'll never know. That has died with Trayvon. But take in mind, we separated from Trayvon when we moved to Wyoming. Okay, so almost 10 years without seeing Trayvon. We don't know who Trayvon truly is. All we had was the memory of Trayvon when we were around him, and I knew the man he was then. I know through you and through some of his sayings, he was not the healthiest person on the planet.
No.
Safe to say?
No, he wasn't.
And I think what I want the viewers to hear, and so you can get somewhat of an understanding and some closure, because a lot of you had conversations with Trayvon, and I won't deprive you of some of the things about his life. Angie and I know Marilyn and Lamar, he was not the healthiest person. And I think if I ask Angie this question, she'd probably agree. Or if I make this statement. He didn't have to die at the age of 48. Would you agree?
I agree completely.
I think I want people to know that Trayvon lied to us a lot, come to find out. And we didn't know half the things about him that we thought we knew. I thought my best friend was telling me everything about his life. And it hurts me to say that 95% of the things he was telling me was an absolute lie. So it hurt me in a way where I was like, you commented about my brother's life, about my life, on what we should do and how we should go about things. But you were the exact opposite about your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you left more answers, or you left more questions than answers.
You did.
And it made it, and this is just for me, but it made it real hard to, once I started finding out the truth of the shit show he left behind, it made it harder for me to agree for him in the proper way in which one would want to agree for their best friend, right? It made me feel very bad for you, especially, Angie, because he left secrets and he left skeletons in his closet that we all had to bear witness to, and it wasn't right.
Well, you have more questions now than answers, right?
Right. It wasn't right for me. I don't want to go deep into what some of those things were, but I know he was super unhealthy and he lied about a lot of what he was doing with his life. And I'm hearing through other people that we both knew about some of the shenanigans he was still pulling that I thought he was clean from, you know? So with that being said, before I let you take over of your thoughts on this, Angie, let me tell the viewers something. And I know you guys are smart people. You guys and gals are smart people. We only have one crack at this life. And our family members depend on us to tell the truth every time, every day, every second. I don't care what you tell a person or a stranger on the street. Tell them whatever. But if you are a family member and you love your family members, tell them the truth no matter what. Because at the end of the day, when you're gone from this planet, everything comes out. And who it hurts when you leave this planet is more people than you think, because the telling a falsehood about yourself, it has a snowball effect. And boy, did Trayvon's snowball effect get large really quick. And it left some of us just with our jaws on the ground, right? And it made it hard to grieve for him, because on one hand, I'm pissed at him, but the other hand, I'm like, he's just human and we all aren't perfect. And he was just doing the best he could with his life, you know? And to be stuck in a situation like that is totally unhealthy. And I implore to you, I beg you to live your life clean. Keep those people that are close to you close, and tell them the fucking truth about who you are. Tell them the truth about what's going on in your life. Tell them the truth about if you're struggling with depression and mental health. Tell them the truth about your physical abilities and ailments and what stresses you out. Even if you think it's small, tell someone. Because to die with all these burdens on your shoulders and skeletons in your closet, you're fucking over someone else's life, and you're fucking over someone else's life experience.
Well, that's why I said earlier on the podcast that I don't feel sorrow for Trayvon anymore, because I know he's at peace. He's moved on somewhere else. He doesn't feel the pain and the stress, like his back pain and, you know, all his bunch of stuff anymore.
Right.
I have sorrow for Angie.
So much sorrow.
Because we are here in the present. We are living. We are feeling. We are remembering. We know everything. And every day, all I want to do is just give her a hug.
Right.
That's it. Yeah. So just remember that. Just remember to love and say I love you to your loved ones.
Yeah. So I'll let you go ahead and speak on that, Angie. And if there's something you want to get off your chest, no one here is going to judge you, you know. But get it off your chest. Like, I don't want you to live with depression. I don't want you to live with burdens and skeletons, and you know, you're human. And if something affected you deeply and you just need to talk. If you don't want to say it here on the live, you don't have to, but we can talk personally. But I guarantee you what you'll say will help someone going through this exact same moment.
Yeah. You know, the anger thing, and I completely get like being mad at him and angry, frustrated, pissed off, all of it. Because trust me, like that day, when I had to talk to his ex-wife on the phone, because I made an oath to myself that I would never have any type of interaction with her. I knew what she put him through, the twins' mom. I knew what she put him through when they separated originally. And how she treated the kids, how she treated him. I never wanted to interact with her. And I wish I never had to. But after the coroner left and she called me back, and even before the very first time I talked to her on the phone, the very first question she asked me was, how long have you been dating? And I said, a while. And I was like, look, I'm just calling because I need to get my truck back. So I just need the address of where my truck is so I can come get it. And then later she called me back after the coroner left. And again, she asked me, I'm sorry. She goes, I'm sorry to like keep asking, but wait, how long were you guys together for? And I said, a while. And then she goes, well, since the divorce? And I go, your divorce? And she goes, no, not my divorce. Ebony. And then that's when it all clicked. So years back, right at the start of the pandemic, while at work, he had gotten assaulted by a patient. He was headbutted. And he ended up leaving, and he came over because he wanted to shower and change because he got exposed to the patient. You know, the COVID was still, you know, the unknown virus and things like that. So he came over, and we're standing in my living room, and his phone rings, and I look down, and the name Ebony comes across, and he goes outside to take the phone call. So whatever, day goes on. Later that night, I text him, and I was like, who's Ebony? And he wouldn't tell me. And we had just been dating for not even a year. It was maybe 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. But I was like, look, I don't, just like, who is she? Like, I don't care. And he kept playing dumb. Like, I know a lot of Ebony's. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, is that, like, who is it? And he wouldn't tell me. And I'm like, forget it, whatever. And time went by, and then he would tell me how he told me one day he had to go to court for child custody. And I thought it was about with his oldest daughter's mom. And I was like, well, do you want me to go with you? And he goes, no, it'll make it worse. So I'm like, okay. So that's when the custody battle started. And he's like, I'll tell you about it when, you know, I'm ready to talk about it. I'm like, okay. So then some time goes by. And he and I were in like one of our dark times, and this was like the last couple of years, and maybe like last 2 years, and I search his name on Google, and the first thing that pops up is his first and last name versus Ebony and her last name. So I call him and I was like, what the hell? Like, you lied. He's like, what are you talking about? And I told him, and he still wouldn't talk about it. He got upset with me because he's like, why are you searching my name? Blah, 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 blah. So we argued about that, and then I let it go. He's like, I will talk to you about it when it's over. I'm like, okay. And then before that was actually when I knew about the restraining order. And what he had told me was this crazy, what he said, this crazy ass lady, I did something nice for her, and it did nothing but bite me in the ass. She's now taking me to court, and she's trying to say that, you know, some things happen that we won't talk about on here. But basically it resulted in him and her filing a restraining order, her and her daughter being protected against him. And he would tell me how, you know, she made it hard on his twins, where to the point where CPS and caseworkers showed up at their school to interview them, and deputies kept coming over to his house to talk to him because she kept filing cases on him. And that's all he would tell me. I just thought she was some crazy ass lady, because that's what he would tell me. And why would I think differently? He had been open and honest with me about his past relationships with his kids' mothers before, so why would I think anything different? So fast forward to the day he passed away, when she tells me that, all of what I just told you came rushing through my head. So I was upset with him for a little bit because he kept that from me. For about 24 hours, I was upset. His brother called me the Friday after, and we had a really good conversation. And he's like, what questions do you have that I can answer? And I asked him, like, can you please tell me about Ebony? So he told me about the over 20 cases that she filed, 20 allegations that she filed on the twins. And he told me a bunch of things, not a lot, but as much as I could basically handle, which helped me understand the reason why he didn't tell me about her. He was protecting me, and I have to accept that. Like, I'm not forcing myself to accept it, but that's what I believe, is that he was protecting me from her, because if she figured out who I was, she probably would have come after me next.
Right.
Especially knowing that I'm in law enforcement, she probably would have tried to get me removed from my job. So I understand why he protected me from her. And then it also helped me understand why he protected me, or why he was protecting the twins from me, because no matter how many times I told him I loved him, no matter how many times I told him we're moving to Indiana, we're taking the kids with us, I can't wait to be their stepmom, I'm going to be amazing to them, I'm not, like, everything. No matter how many times I was telling that stuff, he was still protecting them, because he was afraid. I would say he was afraid, and he wasn't ready to accept it or admit that, you know, I was the safe space. The twins had, their lives have been ruined, pretty much since they were 3. It's been nothing. They've gone through a lot and experienced a lot that they shouldn't have had to experience in those 13 years that they've been on this earth. Well, 12, they're almost 13. So I understand why, and sure, like, it would be easier for me to be mad at him, because I could probably move on a little bit sooner, but he was protecting me and the kids. As far as his medical stuff, he didn't want me to worry. He hated when I would worry about him. He hated that I would give him money. He hated that I would literally force him to tell me, like, what's going on? Why are you, what's happening? The weekend before Thanksgiving, I knew something was going on with him personally. I couldn't figure it out, but I knew there was something. He was stressed. I could see it. He smoked a lot of cigarettes that weekend because, he was constantly going outside. And he was quiet. And that Sunday, because he came over Friday, Saturday, and then left on Sunday. So Sunday morning, even Saturday night, he was kind of annoyed with me, and I could tell it. So I needed to go to the bank and deposit some money and go to the pharmacy to get one of my prescriptions. And I wanted to go to a specific bank that had a drive up. I had a lot of cash, and I didn't want to go to a walk up ATM. I wanted to go do a drive through ATM. And he's like, well, why are we going over here? And I was like, because I want to do the drive through. And he's like, but I'm with you. I'm like, I understand that, but I feel better just going to the drive through. And he's like, well, why didn't you bring the thing with you? And I was like, because it's off roster, and the way that our work is right now, they're freaking out if we use our off rosters. And I don't want to give our acting chief a reason to try to fire me. And he's like, whatever. So he was kind of annoyed. And I knew it wasn't really at me. There was something going on. And then, like, things kept adding up that night. And then we went to sleep. And the next morning, got up, just kind of whatever, quiet morning. And I'd asked him, I was like, because he had gotten off the phone. He's like, I have to go help with something. I forget what it was. He had to go do something, I think, for one of the kids. And I was like, well, are you coming back? And he said, I don't know why. And I was like, well, if you aren't coming back, I was going to go in and work some overtime. And he's like, well, why didn't you just say that in the beginning? If you wanted to go work overtime, you should have just said so. And I was like, that's not what I said. I was just saying that if you're leaving and not coming back, then I'm going to go into work and work overtime. And it became another argument. And I was like, I don't know why you're getting so upset. He's like, well, you're the one that's yelling and getting upset. I was like, it's because you're not listening to me and you just keep interrupting me. I was like, what is going on? There's something going on with you that you're not talking about. And he wouldn't talk about it. And then he ended up leaving. And that was the last time I saw him in person.
Was after an argument.
Yep. Yeah. So that eats me up inside. I mean, I know we kissed each other goodbye because no matter how upset we would get with each other, if we got in a fight or disagreement, whatever, and he would leave, we always made sure that we'd give each other a kiss and a hug, and I'd always tell him I love you, and he would always say I know, just like Star Wars. So I always made sure of that. And right. Even like after he passed away, I have security cameras inside, and I found the timestamps, and I like made sure like we had an interaction, because it like reassured me that like we weren't just being cold to each other, because that would have like hurt me even more. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, the last time we physically saw each other, we had argued. But we got through Thanksgiving and stuff, and we talked, and we talked things out, and there was a lot of stress going on between us because of the stress he had going on in his life. I was financially supporting both of us, basically. So it was creating a lot of stress. Was trying to get credit stuff figured out and fixed for me, like my debt to income ratio. I fell for one of those stupid scams where they don't tell you that they're going to wait for your credit cards to be completely lapse, which fucked up my credit score. And I told him about that, and he felt really bad, and I was like, it's not your fault. And he's like, but it is my fault. And I was like, it's not your fault. Yeah, I fell for it. You have nothing to do with it. But his stress was basically becoming my stress, which I know he knew it was happening that way, because he would constantly tell me to stop stressing and worrying about him. But, you know, when you love somebody as much as I love him, I'm going to. Mm-hmm. But I just wish he would not have withheld everything that he withheld from me. And, you know, maybe he would still be here.
Yeah.
Hello said something really good in the chat. He said, I don't know what it is, but I do know people don't make bad decisions for themselves to hurt others, and their own intentions are often different than their actions that they can't help themselves
Right.
out of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will never know why there were certain things that he said, didn't say, or do, or didn't do.
Well, Wagyu hit it spot on too.
Yeah, I think sometimes people hide things where it does not align with the person they actually want to be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got from Risky. Risky wanted to be something else so desperately, but he was stuck in the life that he created. You know,
It's hard to get out of a spiraling hole when it's
right.
when it started, right?
He saw a life. He saw a life for himself and you in Indiana. That was a dream for him.
Yeah.
But he knew the reality was, I'm married to someone else that I'm trying to get a divorce from. I love another person. I'm trying to keep her secret.
Yep.
And I'm also living with another woman who I had kids by.
Yep.
And he's trying to keep that secret.
Yep.
And Trayvon just lived in a world of secrets. And
yeah.
You know, Angie, at the end of the day, I don't know if there's anything I can say to make it go away or make you feel better. But at the end of the day, we all, us human beings, we experience something for a reason. And as fucked up as it may be, as off-putting as it may be, I truly believe the things we experience on this planet as an individual only makes us stronger.
Yeah.
And this will only make you stronger. You take this and you don't discard it. You don't try to throw it away. You don't put it in the closet and never remember it again. You use this as a badge of honor. This is another scar of life that I have to bear. Because you know what? There's gonna be more.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was like, was it Hello that said it? It's a chapter in your life. It's a happy chapter, and it's a chapter you're not gonna forget.
Right.
Yeah. That's what he said.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's a learning moment, and I you will push past this. You will find a love that you will cherish, and you know you will hold on to, and you can thank Simply for that, for pushing you in a direction on finding the person that's absolutely right for you.
Yeah.
And he set the bar for you.
He really did. One thing I was gonna say is, so like I was saying, my dad rose me to be both my parents, but more so my dad taught me to be a very independent person. He was a contractor. He owned his own construction company. I learned how to do construction also. So basically my dad was teaching me at a very young age how to be independent. And honestly, like, it would bug the shit out of Risky at times because I was so independent. Like, there are so many things that I would just do on my own. He's like, if you would have waited for me, I would have done it for you. And I was like, yeah, but I could just do it myself. And he's like, but that's not the point. I'm here to help you. Let me help you. So there are times where he would get annoyed because I was so independent. And, but he also helped me keep my independence. He didn't try to break me down and rely on him. Mm-hmm. He, you know, he did help me see things in a different way. I started to dress differently because before him, it was the tight clothing, the leggings, the, you know, wearing things to draw attention to my body. And then when we started dating, he's like, why do you dress like that? You need to don't dress like that. And it wasn't more so out of jealousy. It was respect my body, respect me as a woman, mm-hmm. respect myself as a woman, I should say. And going out in public, wearing the things I was wearing, such as the leggings, drawing attention to parts of my body where men are either gonna try to do something or think about doing something or whatever it is to be demeaning towards me. And he said, I don't want you to be in that situation. I want you to respect yourself.
Right.
So I started wearing clothes differently. I wear somewhat baggier clothing, not so that I look frumpy, but it's just so I'm not drawing attention to my body parts. And, you know, the way I move now, like I'm not as trusting. Like I used to trust everybody under the sun. Like whoever you were, oh, I'm going to trust you. Mm-hmm. He came around and, you know, I mean, where you guys grew up, like, you can't trust everybody. You have to keep your guard up. You have to keep an eye out and watch and see what's going on and watch people's moves. So I started to become more vigilant of that stuff. Granted, there are times where, you know, my independence would take over and I would go do stupid things. Like when I was in Minnesota staying in downtown and I went out that one night and I ventured in an area I shouldn't have ventured to because there's a bunch of shit going on that I should have been part of or around, which he got pissed about. But he definitely has shown me the people to keep in my presence. Some smaller circles are always better than having everybody around you. And just like you said, like he taught, like, and like I've also said, you know, that bar is set. Like if I were to open my heart up to somebody again, man, they have.
I don't think you'll ever find another blackest redneck ever. That's gonna be hard, Angie.
I won't. There's no one like him. There's things that, you know, I wish wouldn't have happened, like wouldn't have been. You know, I hated him smoking. That was his crutch.
There's a whole lot of health-wise issues that he shouldn't have done and should have done. That he didn't do.
Right. No. When we got, go ahead.
Hello said, there's absolutely no need for you to feel any guilt, Angie. Not about any argument or guilt about finding future happiness either. I think that would be his advice because he loved you. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah, I do too. You know, when we came back from Indiana, because he was out there, he was getting those, the vape stuff or whatever he was smoking.
Oh, yeah.
When we got back, we were talking on the phone and he just started like coughing, like constantly, like, and it was a bad sounding cough. And it was like coming deep from his chest. And I was like, you need to stop smoking that shit, was what I told him. I said, that vaping shit is bad for you. I said, that is worse for you than smoking a cigarette. You need to stop doing it.
Yep.
And yeah, he would do the THC vapes and stuff. I'm like, all that shit is horrible for you. And I would tell him that it's better just to smoke the real stuff than the vapes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or do edibles.
Yeah. His health was
No bueno.
very poor. The dude did no exercising. All he did was smoke, vape, drink alcohol, tons of energy drinks.
Energy drinks.
The energy drinks, I think, was not so good for his heart.
No.
And he wouldn't do any exercise. He wouldn't eat properly at all.
No.
Tons of sugar. He had diabetes, and all of it could have been backed up. Trayvon did not have to pass away, but Trayvon lived the life he wanted to live. Period. We can't go into more of that.
Uncle Chrome said there's online dating sites for every demographic. I said they have one for the blackest rednecks, Uncle Chrome. Do they? He said yes, and other for those who also do modulars. Who knew? Yeah.
But look, Angie, I'm so happy we had a chance to talk. Not a lot of people have a platform to have these type of discussions on at all. And for our community,
most people charge $250 an hour.
But
it's called therapy.
And that's crazy too.
It's called therapy. That sometimes doesn't always work.
Right?
No, right?
Like who's
leave more fucked up than wait, I'm really that fucked up?
Right? Who's the therapist? But like to have our community here to sit and go through this with us and you. I mean, look at these people that are here. That's your support.
Biscuit is asking Uncle Chrome about the modular dating site. He says he's asking for a friend. So we just want to make that
Biscuit.
clear.
Okay, Get Jervis comes on in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to ask Angie anything or tell her anything?
Yep, it's open.
Open.
This is your time.
We got 20 minutes.
I mean, the whole chat was your time, but
we
know you were listening.
I said a lot of good things.
Yeah, you got to go back and look. Angie, are you still doing your puzzles and breaking them down, which I still find just so fucking bizarre?
Okay, no. So I still have
it's bizarre.
So I actually am supposed to be gluing that one puzzle I did.
Okay,
I bought the glue for it and I did 2 rounds of it. I just haven't gotten my butt in gear to do any more gluing. I need to do like probably 2 more rounds of gluing, and I do have a frame for it, so it will go up on my wall.
Yay.
Yeah. But I have a donut puzzle next.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
So, are you planning on breaking this one down too?
I don't know. We'll see what it looks like when I'm done.
Yeah.
I might break it down.
I just don't. Okay, especially the big, like 1,000-piece puzzles, right? Like you spent all these hours just to break it up.
It down.
Yeah.
Like I just don't get
That's
it.
life, though. Build it up and tear it down.
I know. It's just maybe
build it up again.
In my brain, I can't. It's almost like, okay, I'm gonna do this full-on marathon and I'm gonna hit a PR. Here's the finish line. I'm just gonna go sit down.
Right? Like right before the finish line.
Yeah. What?
Synchrotron says, "Stay strong, Angie." What did Steve say? Steve said, "Many thanks for sharing your story. Sending you big hugs." Studio 8 Effects says, "Angie, you are very brave. Keep the faith. We're all here for you."
Yeah.
Grace Griffin, make sure you have. Wait.
You have such a strong spirit.
Oh, okay. You have such a strong spirit.
Yeah.
Uncle Chrome is off in space somewhere.
Uncle Chrome is always off in
space. Yeah. But I think everyone knows, we're all going through life,
Lemon Lifer said, "We love you. Thank you for sharing him and your story with us." Hello says, "Just want to say your sharing was incredible and cool, Angie, and it's helpful to us too." Yeah, very true.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just want to know, shit, am I the only one going through rough times right now?
No, we all are.
Yeah. Hearing other people's stories, I tell you, it helps me more times than not. It helps me go, oh, okay, so I don't have it as bad as I thought I did.
Yeah.
Clearly, my life can be worse. And for those people who are looking for smooth sailing through life, good luck to you.
George G's, mi compadre de Puerto Rico, he says, I've been listening in. Angie, thank you for sharing. Stay black and stay strong. Angie's not black though.
Hey, I hear what George saying. Stay black. Stay solid.
Yeah, UWN.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh God, I want to say it, but I probably
can't. Yeah. Biscuit says this has been moving but healing
and cathartic. Yeah.
My eyesight. Jeez, I need to get my glasses. Yeah. Angie, what is your day-to-day looking now? Are you just one day at a time? Are you planning ahead now? What does it look like for Angie?
It's kind of day to day, one foot in front of the other. I've been back at work full time. Holidays I did take some time off just because I didn't really want to be there. I stopped snapping at people at work. The first 2 weeks, probably the mornings were pretty shitty because it's like, your whole life of a routine is stopped.
It's gone. Yeah.
And it's altered. And, you have to build, like, there were mornings where I would be getting ready, like standing in front of the mirror, like, fuck, man, I don't want to go to work. Like, having to just even put my hair into a bun was just like, like I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to put makeup on. I didn't want to do anything, but I was like, I got to put my face on. I got to get my shit together. I know when I get to work, I'm going to be better. Like I said, I have the most amazing group of people that I am surrounded by at work. I mean, these people, these men and women that I am with, like, are my family away from family. Like, so my academy class, my group that went up for my department, for my hospital, most of them are still there. And these are like my brothers and my sister. Like, we were living together for 4 months straight.
Yeah.
And two of the guys are like my brothers. Even just yesterday, I called one of them because I got a couch delivered yesterday and I didn't know that.
Is that the one you're sitting on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very comfy. But my other one is there.
Oh, okay.
Because they won't move it. So the company that delivered this couch, they're not allowed to touch our property. Didn't know that. Nothing of that was explained to me. I thought they would have been able to carry it out and stick it at the dumpster. So I'm frustrated. The one person that I want to call, I can't call because he's not here. He won't be able to answer the phone.
Yeah.
So I called my friend Morrow and I was like, he answers, and I forgot that he was having a birthday party for his aunt yesterday. And I was like, shit, you're busy. He's like, yeah. And I was like, he was like, what's wrong? What's going on? And I was like the emotions like started building. He's like, what's going on? And I was like, well, they're here to deliver my couch. And I broke down crying. And he's like, it's fine. He's like, I'll come over tomorrow and we'll get rid of it. You're going to be fine. You're fine. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'll be over there tomorrow sometime, probably afternoon, whatever. You're going to be fine. And I was like, okay. And he's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I guess, like kind of in between tears and I'm like laughing, crying. And he's like, okay. So he's like, I'll be there tomorrow. And there was another time at work where I got super frustrated with some of the employees, like some of my coworkers, or with shit that was going on that I would always meant to risky about, like, because he worked there. So he knew the people that I get frustrated about because it was continuous venting sometimes. But he wasn't there. I couldn't vent to him. I texted my other friend, who's also one of my sergeants now, and I texted him and I was like, are you in your office? And he was like, yeah. And so I go over there and I just like I broke down in tears, and he's like, sit down, like, what's going on? Let's talk about it. So it's just, you know, when I get to work, like I have these people, these support systems that I have there that like will check on me. And like, if I go silent, if I go silent, they're like, what's up? What's going on? Are you okay? Let's talk. And then one of my lieutenants that I report to, him and Risky actually met each other way back in the day in Louisiana. My lieutenant transferred from another hospital, and they like rebuilt their friendship. And so he and I, like, even like yesterday was the first time I actually told him, I was like, you know, I know about Louisiana, right? And I was like, I know, like, you guys met in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And he was like, he told you a lot, huh? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I was closer to him than like his family was. But anywho, yeah. So I mean, when I get to work, I know I have these people I can talk to. You know, they would call and check on me when I would take time off. Like my lieutenant, every day he would text me, what'd you eat today? Did you eat today? Did you have water today? Mm-hmm. Are you eating? Do you need something? Do you want me to get you food? I can send you food. Because he knew like I wouldn't eat.
It's the most simplest things, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Even taking a shower. Did you shower?
Yeah.
Like it's the things that are assumed that it's done, but you forget about them because that's not important to you anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if it's like our job makes us somewhat morbid in a way. Like we have a sick sense of humor at times.
Yeah.
But one of the females I work with, one of my female coworkers, she's like, "You've been losing weight," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's called depression." And she's like, "Oh," and I was like, "You know, I just forget to eat sometimes." Yeah. And she's just like, "Dang," and I'm like, "You can't feel bad about it." I'm like, and I don't mean to like be morbid about it, but like in reality, it's just like, you know, you forget.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. George G said, in the comments, and I think this is so important just to remind people and males in particular, because they're so groomed to be like, oh, you're strong, you're not weak, and you take care of everything, right? Mm-hmm. He says to all men, try to take care of yourselves with your health.
Yes. Yeah.
Physical and mental health.
Yeah.
Hello is one who is taking care of himself. Mm-hmm. He said, I quit smoking in December after smoking cigarettes for 29 years.
Wow.
Synchronicity? I don't know.
Yeah. What's
good
behind that?
Yeah.
Scott sounds, the power of reaching out to someone should never be underestimated.
Mm-hmm.
No.
A simple, are you okay?
Yep.
Can literally save someone's life.
Absolutely. It's that I always go back to that sign in the house. Be careful what you say, because you never know what path that individual is on that day. A simple hello, how are you? And mean that hello, how are you? Mm-hmm. You know, don't just say it because that's what you're groomed to say.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, Risky's family took him for granted. Everyone would reach out to him when they needed something. Mm-hmm. When they wanted help, you know, he was there to help. He would literally stop everything he was doing. There's countless times where he was over here, where he would leave here to go help a family member do something completely astronomical, like even just changing a light bulb.
Right. Yeah.
And at his service, one of his cousin's husbands stood up to talk, and he even said it, and he had that regret of, you know, I never asked him, are you okay?
Yeah.
It was, and he acknowledged it. He was the only one that did that. And even, you know, at the repast, I sat at the table with one of his aunts, and the first thing she said when we sat down, she's like, you know, this morning I was going to call him to ask him to come over and fix my garage. I'm like, exactly, here we go again. Like, here you guys are just like asking everything of him, but you never gave him anything back.
Right.
Yeah.
But talking about the health side of it, I tell everybody now, especially the men that I work with, I ask them, I started grilling them. Like, I'm probably annoying now. I'm like, hey, you need to go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. Make sure everything is checked on you. Make sure you guys have life insurance. Like, I started scolding because he didn't have a life insurance policy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have anything set up because, like, you know, I never thought that this day would come so soon. So I tell everybody at work is, you know, especially the guys, I mean, you guys need to take care of yourselves. And my lieutenant specifically, he even said it. He's like, you know, his passing made me really start thinking, like, I need to go, you know, go to my doctor, go get checked out, you know, just stay on top of my health. He's a very health conscious person to begin with, but, you know, it kind of just reminded him because he is a little bit older. He's already in his 50s. I think he's like 52 maybe.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm always just telling all of them, even the females, like, hey, just take care of yourselves. Make sure you guys are good. It's important. And then definitely don't smoke. I'm glad Mark stopped smoking.
Yeah.
Good job on that.
And Apollo said he's cutting back too. I'm down to 5 a day.
Oh wow.
That's huge.
That is huge.
Yep. Like Kent too. Kent has cut out his caffeine, so he's completely caffeine free now.
And he's cutting down his cigarettes.
Tremendously.
Yeah.
So we only have a few minutes left. Angie, this does not have to stop with this podcast. You have our number.
Yes.
Use it, woman. Abuse it.
Yeah. And you still have that plane ticket, right? You're just...
Well, it was miles, so I got that reimbursed.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Get Jervis is on in literally 4 minutes.
Yeah, I linked it in the chat.
Okay. Thank you to everyone who showed up to hear Angie's story. She is part of the S.O.R family. She's been here longer than most of you. Thank you to Hello and Lemon Lifer.
I'm glad you guys are back and you guys are good.
We
were worried about you guys.
Very worried. I thought we said something at first, like,
yeah. I blamed you because you were saying shit.
I was like, couldn't be. I'm not worse than fucking Mark.
Yeah. I was like, nah, you said something. You said something.
Thank you to everyone who did a tribute for Simply. I know Sam is not here, but especially Tracker Jack. Trayvon really loved you. He loved the idea of Tracker Jack.
We have Hello did a tribute. He sent us his song that he did. Yeah. We will probably air it on Friday, Popcorn Night. Yeah. Hello, if you have a revised version of it or stuff, whatever, feel free to send it up until then. Yeah. Otherwise, we would play the one that you sent.
Uncle Jerry, we're always thinking about you. Apollo Hanzo, George G's, Studio 8 Effects, Synctron.
Everybody.
Night Night Andy, Wagyu and Simply would have just fucking loved each other.
Kent and Simply would have taken down YouTube single-handedly, those two.
Yeah. Thank you, Shababies in the house.
Literally.
Thank you all for showing up and supporting this channel. We are literally nothing without you all showing up every time you do. Don't try to be here every day. It's literally impossible, except for us. We
have to.
We took on this damn challenge. Doommonger.
Angie, get ready for the 24-hour live stream.
Right?
I'll pack my bag.
Okay, 2 minutes to go. So I'm gonna make this real quick. Grace Griffin, we love you. I'll make this quick. The last thing, this is 3 days before Trayvon passed away. I'm gonna leave everybody with this. The last thing Trayvon said to me on a text message was, "I love what you guys are doing. Keep pushing what you're doing. And watch this YouTube channel,
Soar to the Stars."
Right, or
Soar, no. And
watch this YouTube channel, Soar Fly.
No.
Wasn't it that?
No. He said, "I can just see this YouTube channel soaring to the skies," and he spelt it.
Yes, S.O.R.
S.O.R. And then he said, "You see what I did there?"
Yeah, there you go. You see what I did there? And that was the last message I received from him.
Yeah.
And that was kind of scary. But I think that was his last message off of this planet. Continue to do what you do and soar off like you do.
Yep.
So thank you, everyone. We love you all.
Thank you, Angie, for being here.
Thank you,
You're
Angie.
welcome. Thank you.
I'm giving you a
soul.
virtual hug.
Yeah.
You can't see me, but I'm giving you a hug. Oh, and by the way, Angie and I, it's the first human being ever in my whole entire life that I can actually talk to eye to eye.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
She used to
Because
say
we're
hi.
both so short. Oh my God, I'm in love with you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Get Jarvis is on next.
Bye, Angie. Thank you.
Bye.